What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a nice little Saturday night card chat hangout. We've got a few fun characters with us. We've got Mr. Swammey, Shiny Swammey, depending on who you ask. Mr. Basic Trader, who drove all the way from Austin just to be on the stream. And then we've got Mason Cardin All Gaming joining us tonight. This is going to be a really special guest here. Exclusive hat. No. Jake from
Always love
Pokenomics.
talking to Mason.
I know. If only you unzip that, and then it's also the Cardinal Gaming hoodie. I feel like it's like he has become the ultimate form. But yeah, tonight, guys, I wanted to just kind of do a little bit of a round table, a little bit of open-ended conversation about some other TCGs. I tried my best at like a funny clickbait title that really I spent about 5 minutes on total between that and the thumbnail. But with Crown Zenith coming out, everybody kind of hyping up a lot of Pokemon stuff for obvious reasons. I wanted to talk about some of the other TCGs that all of us on this stream have actually been involved in. I know that everybody here has probably had at least one or two that they've gotten into outside of Pokemon. So I wanted to talk about kind of what those are. I know Swami has probably one of the best show and tell tables set up.
Tonight.
This man is ready. I've got a few things myself. I'm sure Basic and Jake have some stuff also, but just wanted to talk kind of freely about some of those IPs, kind of what got us curious and intrigued us into looking into those, and really just kind of draw some similarities. What do we like about those that is really the same as that got us into Pokemon? Is it the chase? Is it the art? Things like that. But yeah. So other than that, guys, welcome. Thank you all for jumping in here tonight.
So first of all, what are you hooligans doing on Saturday night that you can just hang out? Basic, Jake, what are you doing? Why don't you have better stuff to do?
I was at my mom's house for dinner, and then I took a nap, and then I came here. So crushing it.
Awesome. Sounds like Thanksgiving.
Right.
I was in Austin early morning for me today. I mean, MetaZoo tournament, because why else would I be anywhere else out of town? And then Peek, asked me if I wanted to go live, and so I got in the car right away and just be live.
He was like, "Say less," and it just took off.
Be live back
awesome. Home. And then to answer your question from my end, nothing really. I'm getting my house ready to sell, moving a bunch of stuff, and I was like, hey, did a bunch of stuff today. I want to talk some cards, got some new stuff in that really is kind of inspired me to talk cards. Usually about every couple of weeks, I kind of start getting the itch of like, I kind of want to talk some cardboard with some people. So looking over some of the newer stuff I got, like I said, some of the recent other TCGs I bought, I just wanted to kind of talk about them, get it out there, because all I'm seeing on my feed, which I completely understand, is Crown Zenith openings. Like the entire thing is like, have you seen this one? Have you seen that one? It's a beautiful set, as Jake mentioned before we went live. But I kind of wanted to shake it up a little bit in the midst of all the craziness with that. So
yeah, can't compete with Crown Zenith, man. Crown Zenith is you know what? Me and Em were just hanging out today. It was overcast day, so we never, I don't know, we ran some errands. I dropped some cards off at the post office. Had a nice lunch, brisket dipper. It's basically like a fancy, like a thick brisket, au jus. What do they call that?
They call that sleep, Swami.
Yeah.
That's what I would be immediately after eating that.
It was good. It was good. Broccoli cheddar soup in the weather. It was good. I've got like a little bevy for you all. Okay.
Guess we can start with some Swami show and tell, and I don't know if there's one that maybe we want to focus on first, Swami, just based on kind of the theme of the stream. I know that you'll be able to go through probably like 17 IPs in like 2 minutes, but if we want to start with one specifically, I'll solo you a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at my piles,
these, like comparing them to Crown Zenith, how they like stand up.
I could do that easily.
I think we can. Yeah, I'd say that's probably not a bad way to do it, because I do want to get a comparison with Pokemon because it's so relevant right now and everybody's just on fire with it. So I do want to kind of talk similarities but also differences. and kind of what makes. And I think the title of the video was something like dethroning Pokemon, or like they'll never dethrone them. I do believe that for every single IP we're going to talk about, but I do want to talk similarities, differences, maybe something like that. Unless you think otherwise, I'm more than happy to hear it. So, yeah. So, Swammey, if you want to do a little show and tell, then you can talk on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got, like, if we talk about Marvel cards, I've got stacks like off the screen that I could show some really cool stuff. I got a small stack here. Staff Gary, I'm going to crack and regrade this. This is one of the cards I sent within the first week of grading. Like when CGC announced they were grading. I got a Staff Arcanine here, and then another one. And I'm going to be cracking these and sending them back in, either that or sending them to PSA. I've had these since what, 2020? Was it 2020 when CGC started grading? Like real long time ago. I just think they were rough back then. Maybe they were struggling. I don't know. This was gifted to me by PeekDatChu himself, Majora's Mask at Collecticon. It's pretty cool. We got an HRO box that we're going to open.
Nice.
So it's DC. I haven't opened up DC. I think this set, it's got some bangers in it, but there are a lot of duds. And they were kind of promoting the Black Adam movie, which are the main reason for the duds, I think. But yeah, so we got some graded cards. These are PC cards. I graded some. This is a Venom rookie card. This is his first appearance card. His Venom's first on card. I got a 10. So that's pretty cool. And it's got that like classic look to it, which I like. Got some easy grades. Black Panther. The Weiss Marvel set did really well. I ordered a case, and I'm definitely probably doubled my money on that case, and I can keep these. So that was pretty cool. It was kind of like one of those weird situations where the player base in Weiss, they needed the cards, but there were so many Marvel collectors that they ate up all the cards themselves, the collectors. So then you had the regular Weiss players that needed the cards, and the play sets were selling for like $250 each. So you made play sets out of the case, and you pretty much, I mean, almost paid for the case. Just very random. Got a Moon Knight here. 8.5. Not the best grade, but it's a cool card. I think it's numbered out of 100.
So, Swami, did you say all of this is, or not all of this is Weiss Marvel? Right?
Yeah, it's Marvel, just PC. So it's from all different eras. Like that last card was a card that came out in the most recent set. This card came out in 2007, and it was a promo handed out at the San Diego Comic-Con in 2007, and they only made 1,000 of these. So to get it in Gem Mint 9.5, super happy with it. I love Black Suit Spidey. I mean, Black Suit Spidey was like my main profile pick for probably my entire life before I made the whole Swammey.
Just yearbook
logo.
Photos and all. It was just you in a black Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, it was just straight up the most iconic image of Black Suit Spidey, where it's like a dark night and he's hanging over like a edge of a building. These are great. These are lucky 8s. They're kind of like precious metal gems, but Mystique. It's kind of like a PC character for me.
Well, so I'm curious. So talking Marvel, I guess, because like I said, you've got a ton of stuff on the table. And Jake, I think you dabble a little bit in Marvel as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or you're at least knowledgeable about it.
I have a pretty nice collection of the 1966 Donruss stuff. and some high graded stuff of that. And I have a few PMGs, but not too much. I really I'm not a huge Marvel. I like Marvel. I just like Star Wars quite a bit better. And so and the price, they're just like more Marvel card collectors and they're willing to pay higher prices for similar stuff. So it just didn't make sense for me to go as deep into that, even though I like it. I think if I had learned about it a few years ago and I had known about like precious metal gems and other stuff, I probably would have like
printed
characters. I would not have I wouldn't have gone like crazy in it like I'm going in Star Wars, because it's not my favorite as much. But I would have gone after, there are like some characters and that I particularly like.
Well, and I think you said something there too that sort of speaks to me a little bit when it comes to finding some of these, I guess we'll call them niche. I say niche, but it's basically non-Pokemon TCGs, is the lack of, I guess we'll call it competition when it comes to other people buying the product or really knowing what to look for. I know that's one thing, and Swammey had this on his table as well, as Zelda cards. That's been one of the things that I've been really chasing after a lot recently. And that's something that they are buying and selling a lot, but there's really not near the competition when you go to sell anything that you graded, or when you go to buy anything. You can, if something pops up, you've usually got at least like a 24-hour, 36-hour window that you can actually pick it up in, versus, and I'm sure this is the case with Marvel, but Pokemon or something else, if it's a decent deal, it's gone immediately. So I'm curious actually on both your guys' opinions, since you're fairly familiar with it and you own Marvel cards, because I have no Marvel basic. I don't know if you have Marvel cards at all, if you've ever gotten in there. Compared to, say, Pokemon, maybe the recent Marvel sets, how would you guys say they differ? How would you say they're similar to kind of what Pokemon is doing now? I know one thing with Crown Zenith, which I've really forced myself to not really try and look at like all the cards and like all of that, but I know they have like the signature cards that are printed on there, which I thought was pretty cool. But what are your guys' thoughts on kind of what they're doing versus Marvel right now, and who's doing it better, no matter kind of what the market is, I guess, speaking to at the moment?
Star Wars is
Marvel and Pokemon.
Oh, Marvel and Pokemon. Star Wars, Marvel and Pokemon's a hard comparison to make because of the demand, the print size. But Crown Zenith is doing very well. I can say that. Like that's a really well done deal. I mean, that feels good. Like that's the biggest deal. Like people feeling good when they open up the packs. Very accessible. The demand in Pokemon is absolutely insane. Like you're talking 50,000 box print runs for Marvel, but I mean you're talking million some print runs. Oh, something just happened with my camera. All right, but you're talking huge print runs with Pokemon.
Well, even just to kind of dive down a little bit, let's talk maybe Crown Zenith too specifically, because I do feel like, and I don't know how any of you guys feel, but I feel like it definitely is like a different kind of set that is released with it. I mean, I have heard like overwhelming positivity around it. It's almost like a Celebrations 2.0 for me, as far as the way people have accepted it so quickly. So that's kind of what I think I'd stick to, is just,
I don't know anything about.
Have you looked at it? Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I've seen people buying cards to grade and sell, and I think they look great, but that's about it.
So I think like Marvel falls into two categories. You have like the MCU stuff, and then you have like comic book art, and then you have like original new kind of comic book style art, we could say, by some of the comic book artists. So like the MCU stuff is going to be like your characters. You're going to see like people from the movies on it, autographs from the movies, that sort of thing. And then like the comic book stuff is going to have, your first appearances, famous comic book moments or first appearances of characters, or just like there's tons and tons of amazing comic book art from all these sorts of stuff on cards. And then you have like your serialized, like with these precious metal gems, this red one here that's up next, that's Swammey showing, like
this is out of 88. It's a lucky 8. It's just like a Marvel gem. I'm looking around for a Marvel gem. So here's a Marvel gem. And yeah, so you have certain sets like Marvel Masterpieces they're coming out with this year. and it's the whole set is done by one artist, and it's all original art. This is a comic book image of Psylocke that got plopped on a card with a cool insert style. Same with this next one. And Marvel does really well with almost sports card style inserts. So very, hard numbered, scarcer, not as large of print runs. They do have MCU stuff, but still it depends on the style of insert for a card. They have a lot of sketch cards. Sketch cards are big. It's more akin to sports card boxes than it is Pokemon. Definitely, 100%. And I would say the same thing with Star Wars. Star Wars has this interesting. Well, we'll have to get to it, but I want to talk about Galaxy and sketch cards. This is huge. Like, this is one of my favorite cards. This is from a Marvel Gems set from 2016.
I saw that card in Denver. I looked down and saw the diamonds. This is a super sick card in person.
Yeah, so this is a non-original. It's Bagley Venom, but it's one of my favorite Venoms. And it's just an on card. They plopped this Bagley Venom onto this amazing insert. I mean, you could see the gold kind of shining, and they had a lot of these inserts. Here's Cyclops, and you also have Gwen, and just beautiful cards. I mean, like, could you imagine if Pikachu was on this card? Like, this is out of 5, so this is 5 of 5. And that'd be the Omega out of 5. And the Alpha would be number 1 out of 5. But, like, just imagine, I don't know, put Steelix on this card, put Onyx on this card. Like, very, very fun inserts. Like, this is a blast. These are really, really cool. They're thick. They're thick cards. That's how thick the card is.
I'm thinking, like, yeah, it'd be cool if you had, like, the Pokemon that still evolve from, like, stones and stuff, but instead of diamonds, you have, like, a certain, like, colored stone or something. Like, I'm just thinking you could get so, like, creative with that.
Yeah.
And that's something that, too, like, Jake, I know you had mentioned, like, they have the MCU and then the Marvel side of things. So, like, I'm assuming you're more on the Marvel, like, comic art, not the MCU side of things, or do you have a preference at all?
For me or for Swammey?
For you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not into the MCU stuff at all, except I would like to get a couple of the autographs of, like, my favorite actors and characters would be cool. But I don't like the base cards or the parallels too much that I've seen.
Jake, I was talking with Jason. He's got his channel. He's been into Star Wars for a while. And we were talking about the MCU, like the character cards, like people from the actors and actresses. And I wasn't big on it because I personally like the art. I like when in Star Wars, I like Star Wars Galaxy. I like all these comic images in Marvel. And he was just describing, he's like, I could see how it's different for Batman or Spider-Man, where you have 4 people that have played the character in a movie. But like in Star Wars, Leia is Leia. Like Luke is Luke. Those actors and actresses are the character almost. And so he kind of pulled me over to that side of it where I can see why Star Wars like movie images and stuff would do better than like the MCU images. And some of those MCU, like there's $3,000 autographs flying around all over the place. I've seen the $8,000 go. Tony Stark, what's his name? The Iron Man actor,
Robert Downey Jr.
That one I would be like, that's what I imagine being the main one because he's been in it for so long.
And he doesn't do autographs like Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. He'll pop out $450, $500 autographs all the time. So his cards kind of cap out around that. But Robert Downey doesn't sign. So his autographs are going for like $8,000. And I kind of get it. I still worry about it because anybody can play Iron Man unless they go the Star Wars route and they just CGI dead people into the movie. You know what I mean? It's right. But I get it more with Star Wars than I do Marvel. Just because like what's his name is Luke. Like when you think of Luke Skywalker, you think of Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Well, usually when I think of the Joker, I think of Mark Hamill, but yes, that also.
Yeah.
Because he is the definitive voice of the Joker too, right?
Yeah.
So basic. Or no, go ahead. I was just about to.
I was just going to say, I don't have much to say when it comes to the Star Wars or Marvel cards or anything like that. But Swammey said anyone can play X character. Wrong. Kind of like you mentioned, Peek. When you think of Batman, you think of one. You think of one actor, right? Typically, it's 1 to 2 actors that everyone remembers, and that's the main guy. Spider-Man, all of your characters. And I imagine, me not knowing anything with the markets along these cards, if you're able to apply the actual actor into the card as well, these, you know, the ones that are held higher as far as the acting, I imagine those go for higher prices, you know. So
that's sick,
I don't do that. That's cool.
So like these are the autographs of all of the original actors who played, you know, some of the key characters in Star Wars. Adam Driver, Peter Mayhew. A lot of these number of these guys have passed away from the originals, which obviously means that there won't be any more on-card autos for people like Jeremy Bulloch or Peter Mayhew, for example.
I do like you have Harrison Ford though. He seems like I would be super annoyed to sign pretty much anything.
So, yeah, I mean, I think like, you know, so you have those types of things, and then, you know, you have stuff like this. Masterwork is a set. These are like really, you know, thick cards. These are all out of 50, all of the purples. You know, it's fun to try to collect the entire set in purple, basically. So I have like most of the set collected. No one's ever graded any of these. Well, a few of them, but
do they grade them? I guess?
I'll be the first one to like put together a full set graded, similar to like the PMGs. I think there's these really like good looking. They have like these gold. They look like sports, like flawless cards, like National Treasure vibe. They're very thick. They're as thick as sports premium cards, and they're extremely expensive. The boxes to try to pull those are $600, $700, $800, $1,000 a box, and you get 4 packs per box.
Jesus, so, there's no guarantee, or
no. Your odds are, I think, to get a purple, it's probably like 1 out of 8 packs. So every other box you could pull one, and then to get a
$2,000 in for one card.
Yeah, and you're probably not gonna pull one of those ones. One of the main characters. You know, you're probably gonna pull I don't know. Like the thing about Star Wars is like there's so many ridiculous, just like in Marvel, but there's so many cards that are. Let me see if I can show an example. This is like my to grade pile, so all of those are like more key characters. But like, you know, there's gonna be just like
it's like the cleaning droid.
I mean, this isn't even that bad, but just like Wampa, you know, like. But there are characters that it's gonna be like who is that weird looking guy? And it was like, well, he was on like the screen for a second in the background of like, you know.
He was in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add and let the chat know that I'm just here to score keep. So as I see these cool cards that Swammey and Jake are showing up, I'm just going to give them a score, and that's all I'm here for because I know nothing in regards to Marvel.
Sick. I know. And I have to be the producer who just like zooms.
What's the score?
Everybody
basically?
Like
that's a sick card. That just takes 10 points right off the bat, right there.
All right, boom. That's what I like to hear. That's a tough card to get a hold of, dude.
So I'm curious too, like for Marvel, because Swammey, I know you were in Pokemon for a long time, and then Jake, I know you've kind of been a little bit into everything. So I'm curious to hear from both you guys, and basic, we will get the zoo going soon. I promise you. I haven't talked about anything either, just to let you know. But you guys too. Have what got you in? I guess I'll ask two individual questions. You guys can both answer. So Jake, what got you into like finding these Star Wars cards? Like, were you just into Star Wars, the original trilogy, and you were like, I'm going to look up my favorite IPs and see if there's trading cards, or was it something else? And then Swami, same to you. Like, you're in Pokemon. I think everybody has some level of like enjoyment out of Marvel. What made you dive as deep as you did, or you have?
Seeing these
into it?
cards? Come on,
I
dude.
mean, yes, obviously.
The answer's right here, dude. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
What got me into? So yeah, so I mean, I as soon as Pokemon started going through the boom, particularly towards like when Logan Paul jumped in, I was like, well, I'm not going to be buying Pokemon cards for a long time probably, and I'm going to be selling lots and lots of cards into this market. So where else do I want to put this market? So I'm going to look up all my other favorite IPs. I'm going to see like what's going on in all of them, and I'm going to judge kind of what do I enjoy the most? What do I think's the coolest? What do I think's like the most undervalued? Where do I get the most bang for my buck? And so I've collected stuff, I have like 25, 30 different, things that I'm kind of going after and collecting. And yeah, it's there's a lot of cool stuff out there. I think it's cool to like learn about it. And I think it can also help you be like, yeah, like, do I still like Pokemon the best? Or maybe like for the price of some of this other stuff, maybe I should be purchasing a little bit of that instead, like that type of thing.
Did you find it hard to find the information, especially on some of the older ones, or was it pretty documented? Because that is one thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure all of you guys have seen this. Maybe not as much as in MetaZoo, because those guys are like PIs of that. They know everything that's coming out and when it came out and what it is. But I'm curious for older stuff or other IPs. One thing that I've seen is that Pokemon, we have Bulbapedia. We know where almost everything came from, what it is. If not, we know pretty quickly when it surfaces. Did you find it hard to find that with Star Wars or maybe even another IP? Because I've run into that myself. It's very difficult to find information on some of the stuff, especially from the 90s. But
so it's a lot simpler than Pokemon. I think there's not nearly as much. There's not as much kind of crazy variation, at least that I'm aware of. There could be, but you don't need to know that to go pretty deep into all of like a lot of like the coolest, best stuff. There's sort of like the 1977 to like 1980 vintage Star Wars, which is not all, but a lot of it is particularly like the first set, which is like this blue background set that probably most people who collect Star Wars Topps cards would be aware of, and that's just like scenes from the movie. They've done a newer version of an updated version of that with like serialized cards of those original cards, like a reprint of those arts and sort of like serialized kind of flashy versions. Then you have things like your Galaxy cards from, and those have been around for quite a while. And they're doing new sets with some new arts, some old arts that they're just having like serialized kind of rare to pull versions of the same art. And then you have just kind of knowing all of different Topps. Like Topps has a number of different releases every year. Like I can go on, I guess the way that I did is I went on to like, you can go onto like Beckett's website, check card list. Like there's a lot of websites that go through checklist of every top set ever released. So you just go through each top set, you learn about each set, you get a sense of sort of how rare these are, how cool looking they are, what their prices are. And then you decide, okay, is there value here for me? Do I enjoy it? Is it worth it to me? Well, that's a sick card right there. That's a big card.
It is, dude. This is 2015.
Is that Magneto?
Magneto.
Yeah, what's that? Like a $5,000, $4,000 card or something?
It's about, I think it's like 2,500. Now,
only that.
Honestly,
I so wish you would have been just like that's like 25,000. But just
yeah, I think honestly, I think it could sell for 4K if you put it on eBay. I felt like people are sleeping on Marvel PWCC, so I'm catching licks over there. But this is a big card. This is probably like a $4,000 card. If you just put it on, buy it now, I think you could find a buyer.
You grabbed it off PWCC?
I grabbed it off PWCC, and I was actually, you remember that weekend that they had to redo?
Yeah.
Just about 2 months ago, I actually got it for less. I posted this card after I won in multiple Marvel channels, and it went like $500 higher the next weekend because I had told people where to find it. And I wasn't expecting it to go to auction again, but friggin' PWCC screwed me. I'm like, God dang it. God dang it. Yeah.
PWCC Marvel. Got it. I'm on it.
I know. It's
saved, bookmarked, ready to go.
It can be hit or miss, and maybe that's why. Maybe they have just some really, really poor auctions some weekends.
That's
but definitely, I think I got that card for a good price. But I think it probably could be a 4K card.
Well, why are you going through those, Swammey? I guess kind of, onto your side of the question. I mean, is it? I know you mentioned like, look at these cards, man. Like, did it come from a sense of like, I'm just going to look around, similar to what Jake said, like, I'm just going to check out my other IPs in this slow period where I'm not buying Pokemon, and I'm just going to find some stuff I like. And you saw the art, and you were like, I'm in. Or was it something like what did that look like?
So this is out of 25, right? I mean, Jake, he was talking about this. This is a big card. This is out of 10. So the reason this is a big card is because it's a precious metal gem. It's
green.
a big character. It's a big character, and it's out of 10. So the greens are out of 10. Why? I'm going to switch the camera so I can talk, not in focus, because these cards kind of, let's see. Yeah. So for me, it was, I sold into the 2020 boom that I thought was overblown. Still didn't believe in prices until about, way later. Like, I'm fine with prices now. I probably felt fine with prices somewhere mid last year.
On Pokemon you're talking about, or Marvel?
Pokemon.
Okay.
But I didn't buy anything. Like, I haven't bought, I think I was thinking about this the other night. I was like, the last Pokemon personal purchase for a PC, not for like reselling, grading and reselling, that was back in 2020, probably May. And it was Skyridge Gyarados. And it was PSA 10. And that was the last time. I ended up selling it later that year. I had a lot of cash from selling Pokemon in 2020, 2021, and I wasn't buying Pokemon. And the Marvel Impel, the 1990 stuff blew up, and I started looking around Marvel and kind of discovered PMGs. I remember at the time, Vivid Voltage was selling for $240 a box or whatever. And the
Chonky was printing for a long time.
Yeah, I bought a green Storm out of 10 precious metal gem for the same price.
Okay.
It was like I could buy a Vivid Voltage box with just ungodly amounts of stuff in it, or I can buy this amazing Storm that to this day I have not seen that Storm pop up again in a green. And there's something about that rarity that it hooked me in. I mean, the cards are amazing. Upper Deck has taken basically like the 1990s NBA inserts and just, they've redone them with Marvel characters. And so we have all these really cool cards. There's a lot of rarity and scarcity and chase. There was a kind of a dead period where Rittenhouse owned Marvel in the early 2000s. I love Rittenhouse. I love all those boxes. I think if you open a box of Rittenhouse, you're probably going to get a sketch. You're probably going to get a full complete base set, and you're going to get some inserts. I love their construction. The quality of the set construction was amazing. But the thing is, they only would make 8,000 boxes, right? That was their print run. It was 8,000 boxes. That looks good. Let me see the little dudes. Jawab. I like the orange. That's a good color with those.
I think you're on mute, Jake.
Muted.
The orange ones are the ones that are out of 10. So I'm trying to complete a 10 of every card from every Masterwork set out of 10. And it's
Yeah, the 10s are tough.
fun. I'm like the only person that seems on planet Earth who's trying to do this, which is hilariously fun.
It's tough to do. The thing is, like, it's crazy. You know, I got this Black Panther. This is out of 25. I bought this graded. I don't like to do that. I bought this Black Panther graded. I still haven't seen the raw version of this card pop up. I haven't seen a graded version or a raw version of this card pop up in 2 years. So,
I like the Yoda a lot.
So these are the out of 10. So this would be the equivalent of like the green PMG in terms of rarity.
And who grades that, Jake? I'm assuming Beckett probably is the main one, and then
PSA.
PSA's okay, cool.
I'm sending everything to PSA. CGC, PSA, Beckett are the ones that do it. CGC just started a few months ago.
Well, I want to rope Basic in here. He's ready. I don't want to start you on hour 15 Basic of the stream. So no, I'm kidding. We're not going anywhere near that. Basic came in ready for the 24-hour stream today.
Yeah, I'm with Jen. If I would have known this was going to be a Marvel topic, I would have taken the back seat on this one.
What you talking about? We've sat through so much of your MetaZoo, bro. You can sit through some Marvel.
We're about to sit through some.
Get out of here, bro.
That's the goal, though, right? It's like getting out of the silos a little bit and just hearing like.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Admiral Raddus? Again, I'm just trying to complete. This is the first ever Stellar set. So this is my favorite autograph set. I just think these look like so clean altogether.
I feel like that needs to be clipped. Who doesn't love Admiral Raddus?
The golds are out of 5, but like I gotta get my, Steven Stanton, Admiral Raddus. Obviously the most important Star Wars character in the whole universe.
That's so awesome. So
hold on, Basic. Right. I got one more little stack.
Go for it, guys.
I feel like it's like a Matt Damon, Jimmy Kimmel. Like, we ran out of time for you tonight. Just next week.
We got a long night.
Go for it, guys.
I'm kidding.
I'm keeping track over here. I'm keeping a point.
Points go for us.
Look at this sick. Moon Knight.
That's a sick Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. He has got a ton of sick artworks. This one I graded, kind of just trying to complete a Black Panther. Set. It's all right. I'm not a huge fan of like when they zoom in. I'd rather have this guy on the front than like the super close-up portrait. This card's pretty sweet in a 10. These are really nice. So this one's out of 106.
What a random number. Yeah,
well, they did like the periodic table.
All right. So I've got to go to Basic because Swammey will slab us up until
you go ahead, Basic.
All right, Basic. So
I'm not trying. First, I don't want to take your spotlight, Swam.
No. I'm chilling.
So talking other TCGs, obviously MetaZoo is going to be involved in this, and I'm curious with you specifically. Is there anything outside of MetaZoo and Pokemon that you've ever dabbled in, or is it strictly MetaZoo?
Strictly, I'm extremely uncultured. Yeah, It's been Pokemon, and only as of recent as the last 2 years, it's been MetaZoo.
But you've been in it for a while, and obviously, I know I've heard you in plenty of lives. We've been in lives together where you talked about, hey, I was in Pokemon for a long time, and then MetaZoo. I guess one thing I can't remember if I've heard this. How did MetaZoo come up on your radar? Did you just hear about the Kickstarter? Did you hear people hating on it, and you were like, I'm going to look at it myself? Like, what? How did that even happen?
Swammey was actually witness to this great weekend that happened at Collecticon, Frisco, Texas.
Mario, shout out to Mario,
MetaZoo Mario. I mean, just to make a very long story short, yeah, we went to Collecticon looking for Pokemon, right? Kind of enjoying the Pokemon vibe, hoping to see some Poketubers and whatnot. That's where I met old school Pokemon for the first time, Nick, Jet Min for the first time. Shout out to those guys. And all of a sudden, there's this booth sitting right in front, directly in front of Jet Mint and Nick's booth. And so me and Swam are just kind of, talking to these guys, and I don't know how it happened. We just decided to go over to this table. Like, what's MetaZoo? What is this? We go over. They're handing out free stuff. We're like, all right. We did a couple rounds of free stuff, through those booths. But as we did that a few times over, We started talking to the people. Some of those were artists. Mike Waddell was there the entire time. We talked to him, got some autos from the guy, got some, more free stuff, some very exclusive Collecticon gold packs.
So you were bought. That's really
I was sold. I was sold because and it really wasn't even about the game itself. Once I learned that this one thing that they were giving away is 1 out of 500 and every one is unique. Essentially, it's one card, every alternative, and it's Kickstarter and it's Collecticon stamp. So I was like, oh, this is so freaking awesome. Like, I don't even know what this is, but the fact that I have 1 out of 500, don't know what this game is, but it's awesome. Fast forward, it was an amazing night. We got some other, some more stuff from the folks. It just pretty much just snowballed. Going into every single Collecticon, I actually bought into the Crypto Nation just to check it out so I can open it. I opened it up and right away I was sold. I was really sold on the collecting aspect of MetaZoo. It wasn't until Caster's Cup, fast forward a whole year after, and that whole environment, that is what actually hooked me into playing the game. That has actually taken over the collecting aspect because playing it is pretty freaking cool. Like, the playing aspect is so awesome. So much so, I taught my daughters how to play Pokemon during the summer, and they loved it. It was awesome. And then they just kind of came and went. Fast forward to this winter, they said, "Hey, Dad, can you teach us how to play MetaZoo?" Like, really? You would want to play MetaZoo? I sat down with them a whole weekend, about 12 hours. They were so hooked they didn't want to eat. I was like, "Well, guys, I gotta cook dinner. You guys have to eat." And my oldest goes, "I'm not gonna lie, Dad. I am hungry, but I really want to play another game."
Your daughter's like, "Look, Dad, you stream for 18 hours straight, so you understand the hunger strike for the."
So I just asked one simple question, like, "Well, what is it about MetaZoo that you really like it? Like, it's obviously that you're hooked on it versus Pokemon." And she says, "Pokemon is just too easy. MetaZoo, there's strategy left and right. There's strategy on every single play." And I was like, "Bingo, that's what it is." Pokemon is like, you gotta wait for your turn. You can't do anything defensively. And in MetaZoo, every single play can have an answer, and I think that was pretty awesome.
So what are you seeing, I guess, right now with? I mean, I know that MetaZoo you're fully bought in, but you are still buying Pokemon. So,
yeah,
with Crown Zenith coming out, I mean, I think all of us can agree from what we've seen, it's an awesome set. They really are hitting it on all cylinders from what I've seen. Personally, maybe you feel different, and please feel free to share. But compared to like some of the newer MetaZoo stuff that's coming out, are there any similarities that, like, hey, these are really good things that I'm liking that both of these companies are doing with these most recent sets? And then on kind of the opposite, are there any differences that you think one is kind of getting a little bit more, kind of takes the lead on the other, I guess? This is coming from someone who's not as familiar with MetaZoo releases or anything. They just have way too much stuff for me to follow so far. So I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so on the Pokemon, I mean, I haven't seen any of the breaks. I was checking out Pokelector, checking out all the cards. The Pikachu is awesome. All of the full art, the trainers, what is it called? The friends, full arts, those are freaking awesome. The Pokemon themselves, the Rayquazas are cool. Charizards, I mean, of course, you can never go wrong with those. But outside of that, I'm really not seeing anything that excites me. And then I was having this conversation yesterday. I was invited over to a channel yesterday. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to disclose, so therefore I won't. But I was on another channel, invited for a second time. We were having a conversation, and the topic of what Pokemon is doing and their arts, and it feels like almost like technology, where it almost feels like right now they're on steroids, and they just need to just double the last set or double the last year as far as what they're doing with their arts, what they're doing with their rarities, their slots, what you're pulling. And I mean, next year it's just going to get even crazier, I feel like, because now people are addicted to a certain thing, but we're also programmed to get bored very easily. And it's like, what's next, guys? Like, this is old. What's next? I asked them the question, when do you think commons and uncommons are going to turn into really V's, full arts, right? Like that's going to be your common and uncommon now. It's your V full arts, and then your.
I don't get excited about those pulling them now. I get just as excited as I do with commons and uncommons. So I'm right there with you.
And now your just regular rares are going to be whatever your V maxes are today. And then your crazy rares are going to be looking like Dragon Ball Z. I don't even know if I'm calling it right, but Dragon Ball Z cards where it's just everything's hollow and everything's blinged out. There's almost no text. Yeah, so it's interesting that Pokemon, I feel like they're just on this freaking bulldoze, of a train that is not stopping, and it's only getting faster and faster. And they need to in order to keep the fan base entertained. Now, MetaZoo, what they're doing is, I think one of the most obvious ones to me is they're making their characters more kid friendly. And I think obviously this was on purpose, right? Because they started out Krypton Nation, Nightfall, very gory, very scary. I don't know if a lot of parents would approve, but after between Seance, and even Seance is still doing a lot of that, but between Seance and UFO, even Wilderness, especially Wilderness, they're really implementing this sort of art of more so that it's more attractive to children, I guess. So that, and that's an awesome part as well. And then the other obvious thing that MetaZoo is doing is just alternates over alternates after alternates after alternates, and just max rarities. And max rarities are never from the sets. I think that's so cool that as far as the set goes, it's attainable to anyone. Anyone's going to be able to build decks. If you want to bling out your deck, it's going to happen outside of the sets, and you're going to have to go to your subsets, to your marketplace, to your bear walker, skateboards, and that's how you get that one alternate art of the very playable card, things of that nature. Something that I'm getting myself very into is international cards in MetaZoo, and there's a couple that I've kind of been dabbling with, very successful at that. But it's these two cards. This one, 500 prints, and this one as well.
So international, like what countries?
I'm sure no other. Well, see, this is what I'm afraid of to spill the sauce. But these are New Zealand and Australia.
Spill the sauce, bruh.
New Zealand
Give
and
the
Australia.
people what they want.
I mean,
Swammy's over here showing all of his plays, just right after
Koala Bear. I mean, Koala Bear. Obviously, we know which one's which as far as.
Wow, that is creepy.
But yeah, so that's very interesting how they're going about it and doing about their rarities, their chases. Like, this is stuff that people are calling their grails in the hobby. Just today, a person in the tournament that I met in Austin says, "Dude, I need this card. Like, how much? What would you take for trade?" That's my grail of the of the hobby so far. For everyone is a little different. And once again, just to give a few examples, this is something that you can just pull right out of the box. Anyone can have it. Anyone can play it. You can buy it for 10 cents, right? But you want to go to the next rarity, and this is from a subset. This is from the art set, and this now all of a sudden goes to $10. Does the exact same thing, but now all of a sudden went from blingy, colorful, right? It looks better in a deck. $10, still not bad. But then, again, same function, you go crazy. And this is, and Jake would know about this card. This is from the Salem event. Salem event, MetaZoo. There's believed to be only something like 700 of these printed, maybe up to 1,000. But this is now all of a sudden I would call it a 200 to 300, but really as of recent is like 150. But again, it's just layer upon layer of how to keep yourself entertained in the hobby.
I'm just getting super master scroll vibes from that card.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome, pretty beautiful
It looks pretty
card.
similar.
Players just go nuts. And I played 2 players today where both of their decks were over $2,000 worth, which is ridiculous to me.
So this is a good point. I won't say point. I like this take from Mr. Walrus. He says, train goes both ways. They can easily go super simple and people will love the new direction. People genuinely love Pokemon. So that is kind of, to expand a little bit, I think, on what he's saying. with MetaZoo specifically, and again, this whole stream is kind of talking like really just shedding light on other TCGs, because I know primarily anyone who watches my channel is into Pokemon, because they probably found me off Instagram, follow my YouTube, but I do a lot of Dragon Ball and other stuff. So for other TCGs and MetaZoo specifically, do you think that they convolute it too much? Because from what you're describing, and I'm learning here as you're speaking, and that's part of like what I was hoping to get from everybody who's on this. It sounds like they're making set cards for players, and then they make the alternates for the set cards for the collectors. Like they're trying to do both. And so they're almost like doubling the amount that they actually need to print, instead of making the chases within the set for the players and the collectors to go, after the same product. They're just like, here's our player product, here's our collector product.
I think that's a great idea, personally. I mean, you don't want to overprint anything. I mean, for the viability of the business, I think like there will be a point where Pokemon overprints and they'll just scale back, right? But when they do that, it's not going to kill them, it's not going to crush them, right? Like these smaller companies, I think it's more important to kind of hit the nail on the head. But as long as you're not overprinting anything, really, I think adding a chase card that's tough to get for collectors doesn't, while not pissing off the players by, like if Pokemon, I've always wanted Pokemon to do that. I've wanted them to do like give us an exact same attack, health, power level, stats, everything, but throw in like the alternate arts. That's exactly what they're doing, actually. I mean,
and what they do with like the energies and the trainers, that people blinged out their deck for years.
Yeah, hollow energies and stuff.
You get blinged out players, you get collectors satisfied, but then you don't have a piss. I mean, we saw everybody get very upset in 2021 when they couldn't get product. Now reasons for that and motives behind all of that anger and frustration, we'll never know. But it got pretty nasty. You got to print enough, but that's a nice way to do it. I like the way MetaZoo's Pokemon's doing it.
And if I may, I want to answer Mr. Warris' comment that you highlighted. I'm gonna give it a big fat Pokemon Go. Everyone thought it was gonna go crazy, and then the reveals of the cards and the sneak peeks and what have you, and then it went dud. So no, simple does not work.
I've got to say though, it did feel like that was a little late to the game. I don't know how everybody else felt about that, but it felt like Pokemon Go was out for a really long time before they came out with the cards for it.
They still could have went crazy with the art. They still could have really gone outside the box, and they just went so simple on something that could have been so cool. And to my point that I'm trying to make here is like simple does not work today. If cards are starting to look like Dragon Ball Z all of a sudden, Pokemon, you can't go back to 1999. You can't. I'm
going to correct you and say Dragon Ball Super. I have to. That's what you're referring to.
So, like, I'm very close, as close. I don't say things like guarantee, but I would be really, really stunned if there wasn't a reversion back to simple art within the next 10 to 20 years. But that may not be, to Basic's point, that may not be this
simple
year,
art or simple
3 years, 4 years. And it might take a while. And people like change, and people like things that are different and exciting and fun. And,
simple art or simple design? Do you mean like not alternate art or full art? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think if you look at like, what happened with comics, it's a great example. So in like the 80s into the 90s, they started doing variation cover arts that everyone, including kids, were investing in and collecting. And these were just crazier and crazier, kind of more complicated arts. And now, basically what happened is then everyone, or almost everyone, they were saying this was amazing. Then 10, 15 years later, everyone was saying it was terrible and it was the worst art style and it destroyed comic books. So all of the people who were obsessed and loved it 15 years later were like, what was I thinking when I was a kid? This is ugly. I like the more plain kind of original style. It had more character. It had more feeling in it without all of this craziness. And then you see today, like in Marvel cards, which is a great example, is you see people who really like both, right? I mean, if you want to look at at the new, not new anymore, but like the Marvel, the Spider-Man metal set. It had this high series versions and it had these low series versions. The high series versions being, in many cases, sort of like from a first appearance comic or an early kind of old vintagey style comic book art. And then you had a sort of newer, flashier, art and version. And some people really like the older ones. Some people really like the new ones. And then sometimes it's just sort of like hit or miss. Like some of the new stuff is like really cool. And then some of the new stuff just like isn't as cool and doesn't hit as much as the old ones. It's funny how like when you let people just have their opinions and rather than telling people what they should like, you'll find that people like a lot of different things and that it can change and shift over time. Like everyone here, their collecting habits and the things that they enjoy and appreciate will shift too over time to some degree. But the stuff that you've liked for a really long time is the most likely stuff that you'll continue to like. The stuff that you've only liked for a little has probably the biggest risk of you not liking it anymore. And then if you have memories with it, like childhood memories, or if you have, there's some things that can't be replaced. You could think an art is ugly or a thing is ugly for your entire life, but if you have a memory with it, that's unique and special to that sort of thing.
Well, I completely agree with that take, because that's one of the things that, for even, and Walrus talked about it earlier, but even like Zelda, for example, like I played this so much as a kid, no idea like where the cards were, like if there were even cards, and looking it up, but they kept the style, like even the interplay set that I just showed there, but like some of the ones I have in that set are commons and uncommons, but they're screenshots from like the game on like N64 from like Majora's Mask, and I'm like, I find myself like sleeving it. There's no need to. It's literally like a nickel card, right? But like that kind of shows that organic, like, wow, I like this style because it aligns with the time that I was actually into it as a kid or whatever it may be.
Sure.
And I feel like, especially even with Pokemon, like I find myself enjoying things more like, like vending series and like very simple 2D, like just elegant arts. Like I think as long as there's rarity assigned to it, I think that's actually more cool. Because I always think of like Mew, because Mew is like my favorite Pokemon. So it's simple, but it's like the rarest. It's like one of one, like in the con or whatever, or the lore. It's like it could have been this badass, like huge dragon, like crazy epic, like whatever, but it was like just this simple, like whatever. It was super rare. And I think that's kind of stayed with me, is like in the cards as well as like, I think back to like the 98, like number 3 Pikachu, very simple, 2D, cute, half art, like it's good to go.
To that point,
mentioned, go ahead, Swam.
To that point, this is from 2015, 2013. So this is 2013 retro set, and they literally just took the 1990, like the most popular. There were a lot of people, probably a little older than us, that loved collecting this 1990 Impel set, and so they just copied that insert style with new arts, beautiful arts, and redid it. And these are popular, very popular, and this is just a revert. So this is 2013. They reverted 23 years later to the original. And people love it. There's something about it. There's that nostalgia that gets you into it. I'm going to get this box ready, but you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and Basic mentioned it, and everyone mentioned it. First of all, he said, that part of what got him into MetaZoo is getting a bunch of free stuff, which is
bought,
very understandable. That's a great start to anything.
Mike's like, also for every box you buy, I give you $100 bill.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
But the other thing you mentioned, right, was rarity. It was like finding out, and particularly coming from Pokemon, where people never really experience rarity. Most people in the Pokemon world never experience out of 500 rarity unless they're in the trophy card market of the Pokemon world. And so even like coming into contact with that for the first time can be like a whoa type moment. Swammey and I have showed a number of cards that are out of 10. I have a number of cards that are 101s, things like this. And the rarity can certainly be really exciting and fun. The thing is like manufactured rarity in this, and when we say manufactured rarity, what it means is like the card companies are creating the rarity. It's not from It's not from like overtime attrition and things getting destroyed, or the risk of that in terms of a long-term strategy with something like that is, we could look at MetaZoo, Marvel, Star Wars. There's just going to be more and more 1 of 1, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 500 promos. They're going to keep making those. So why are you going to continue to enjoy the ones you're enjoying now? Because they may not have the same sort of feeling of like, this is really rare and cool if there's like 500 out of 500s.
That's when you complete the full set, Jake. You have the full
set
and
it might still feel cool. It's just a good question to ask yourself. And this is not being an investor or anything. You can imply all of this to speculating on card value, but even just from your own pure enjoyment, it's like, if you're enjoying this because it like, think about it. Like, if I'm enjoying this because it's 1 out of 500, and then I know that the card company is going to continue to make these and make a ton of them, will I enjoy it as much in 5 years? It's just an interesting question. And I think about that for Star Wars stuff. It's like, I'm buying these. They're going to make more of these every year. These characters are going to get more. They're going to be beautiful looking. They're going to be low, these low serialized. And then it becomes sort of the price point for me of like, well, if they're cheap enough, I can just buy them all, type of thing. So that feels like, even if they make this every year, I might be the only person on the planet that thinks they're cool, which is surprising. I mean, I could just be the only weirdo who thinks they're cool, but usually when you like stuff, there's going to be some other weirdos.
There's a few weirdos around.
There's a few sets that I'm trying to complete that I've been working on for, I want to say about a year, maybe. And I've seen maybe a third of the set of cards come up on eBay over the last year, right? So there's like, I'm already invested in this particular set that I'm chasing, just because like, I haven't even seen, and I've actually won most of the auctions of this set as they've come up. But there is a lot of connection there. I mean, I've spent a year on it. I'm pretty invested. I'm very excited when a new card from the set pops up that I don't have. I'm looking every day. That gets me pretty freaking connected to the cards themselves. And there's a chase like that, like outside of Marvel right now, I've kind of started doing phone cards of different IPs, just, Trigun or Inuyasha. Just, okay, I don't need to go out there and collect, these crazy, a full set or a full binder or the crazy expensive cards from an IP. Maybe I'll just go out there and get like a $50 phone card that really shows the IP most of the time, if it's an anime, better than any of these set cards from the dead TCGs that came out. And I can grade, if I get that in a high grade, then I'm happy and I'm good. Because I have in the past chased just, like HRO. There's HRO cards in here from the first set.
So real quick, Swammey, obviously you've already opened the pack, but Jake, if you could answer this, and then Swammey, I don't think most people probably know these cards that you're about to open, so we should definitely talk about them, because you just busted this box open, which is so awesome. Jake, if there's a 1 out of 10 and you own all 10, do you enjoy them more or less because you own them all?
Yeah, I answered this as a joke in the chat.
Oh, I didn't even see. So basically, Jake says capitalism is his answer.
The only, I don't even like the cards. I just want to make sure that if anyone likes them, they can't get them. That's sort of the goal of collecting.
I just want the shock and awe from the bin price that I throw out there into the world, because no one else will be able to do that.
Someone threw out a card on one of the Facebook groups I'm on for $14 million the other day. A Star Wars card that I would
serious?
I would pay $400 for. And the person was serious, and there seemingly, and there's like 67 comments arguing with this guy, like people saying like, is this a joke? And the guy's like, no, like, this is what I think it's worth. Like, this is why it's worth it. It's like, and he's getting really heated and they're getting heated, and I'm watching all this and I'm like, what is happening to people's brains? Like,
Well,
everyone's brains.
my immediate question is like, who looks for $14 million on Facebook? Also,
Yeah,
who just announces that to the world of like, let's say it is worth that, right? Here's all of my information. By the way, like,
yeah. So to answer the Mr. Walsh's, it's actually a great question. Do you enjoy them more or less because you own them all?
I think Mr. Walrus summed it up for you pretty well, right?
I enjoy the hobby of others are failing 2023. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, I think. Listen, it's a hard thing collecting because I want other people to be into this stuff because it's fun to collect with other people, but I also don't want them to be, because then I get to like own them for a cheaper value and I really like them. You know, you really like something when you don't care about what anyone else thinks about it, and you kind of want them all. That's a good sort of moment of like, oh, I'm not investing or speculating or wanting other people to like this. I'm actually just like really enjoying the process of hunting it down. Just as Swammey said, like, it's so fun to try to build these sets and hunt these cards out. I'm on eBay every day. I'm trying to get deals. I'm trying to find these. I'm trying to hunt them. Like, it's so fun. But like, it would also, the truth is like, all that gives me pleasure, but it would also give me pleasure for like someone else to enjoy it and to have it and talk about how cool it is also. So, you know, sometimes these things sort of like conflict. That sort of
trade bait too. I mean, if you owned, I've bought out of 10 cards that would be a duplicate for me, just to trade with somebody that has the out of 10 that I actually want.
Yeah.
Like one time I was going for a storm. Somebody wanted I can't even remember the character, but he was like, I kind of want this character. I'm like, all right, I'll buy it. Like, I bought it and I traded the guy. Now I only had it for a little while. When it popped up, because when I bought it and I got a hold of him, I was like, hey, I have one. We just traded back and forth. Which honestly, having a duplicate of a very rare card like that, if it's a desirable character, has been, because I've done that like 3 times where I've picked up out of 10 cards that are in collections, you know, like it's either in a box somewhere, in the trash, hopefully not, or in someone's collection. And if it's in someone's collection that doesn't want to sell it, you know, it's like the only way. It's like to give them what they want, you know, and it's been a blast. Like, it really is a lot of fun. You know, not that Pokemon isn't fun. With Pokemon, I liked to open more. Because I mean, why not open? There's so much there. You could just go, I mean, obviously buy the singles is the cheapest way, but there's definitely this chase that I've never experienced in Pokemon, but I also never got into like trophies or even like the Art Academy cards. Typically, you know, if you were patient, you'd find those on eBay, but yeah.
Going to Mr. Walrus's, I know he was asking Jake, and you know, and maybe that was just like a troll back and forth. But if I may answer that one, 100%. The smaller the group that holds or owns a particular card, the better in my eyes if I own it as well, right? Peak, I remember when you sold me the Pikachu promo. Right away, pop.
The Mount Fuji, yeah.
And some folks were saying, "Oh, why, yada yada," and I was like, "Only one of 12 own this card, and I'm going to be one of those 12, right? In a PSA 9 specifically. Pops, who cares? But as a collector, that's how I view that. Now, if all of a sudden that was, instead of a 1 of 12, it's going to be a 1 of 6, even better. A 1 of 1, holy smokes! Like, I look at that, and there's a few cards in my collection that I know I'm the only ones. Some from a serious matter, like, yep, this is a legitimate collectible and I'm the only one that has this. Or something that's dumbass, and I showcase this. and Northwoods, actually now, I can say it because he put it up on his Discord. He invited me on his channel for the Choose Your Own Path. And so I brought this example up. This is one of the funny ones, I guess I could say, right? Meme, but I genuinely, it feels special in my hands, right? So I had a PSA 9 WB promos, 1999, right? Or 1999. Everyone's got them. You can pick them up anywhere. They're not rare, right? PSA 9 set, picked them up, whatever, how many, 8-10 years ago. Well, in my submission of 2020, I submitted one of each. They were sealed. I got wrecked, or so I thought, because they all came back 5s.
Yeah, your 5 set. I remember
every single one came back as a 5, which therefore it's sequential. So it's not even that it's a sequential PSA 5 set. It's how do you replicate a PSA 5 set, right? Because you can replicate it. It's probably easier to get a sequential PSA 10.
You're
right?
crazy, bro.
A PSA 5.
This guys is where collecting goes off the deep end. And already goes off the deep end.
This is the PSA 1 collector.
I'm the only one withholding these 2 cards in the world right now together.
I was on the beach and I found a grain of sand. You are not going to find this grain of sand ever again. Like, go find it. Good luck.
When you start talking sequential,
it's something as silly. It's something as silly as this. That's just, as a collector, it feels better versus owning the PSA 9, right? Which is obviously grade-wise better, value-wise is better. But this means more in my collection than a PSA 9. And the other one that I would bring up is the very first. It will always be a Pop 1, so that's why it's so awesome in my collection. I was the first one to ever buy the perforated Burger King Charizard PSA 9. I was the first one to ever purchase it. I never graded it, obviously. So I purchased it, I owned it, and then I found out, oh, this is going to be a Pop 1 forever, because they actually never tagged it as perforated. They just said Burger King Charizard. For some reason, that was the only Charizard they decided to mark that way. Everything else is perforated or unperforated. So therefore, I have not only the very first one that got purchased from eBay after the guy graded it, but also it's a Pop 1 forever, unless they decide to make the mistake again. But it's something as silly. It doesn't even have to be a very serious item. It's something as silly like that, like a grain of sand. It's not going to hold any crazy value in real markets, but it just feels awesome as a collector. It feels awesome knowing that you really are truly the only one that's going to have this item.
No, and I completely agree. I mean, there's been stuff that I've graded that it's only been other TC, like Zelda's the primary one. I sent in literally like out of the gold foils that like they have in their 2016 Interplay set, I sent in like 48% of their entire population in one submission. That's how low those pops were. So like I got some of them back and it's like, oh, this is Pop 10, but it's like it's a Pop 10 PSA 8. It's not like, you know, I'm really like crushing it here.
I'm the only one with this cert number. Like, I don't like it. This is a 1-of-1 PSA case. The card sucks. Who cares about the card? I have a 1-of-1 PSA case with a unique cert number.
No way. No, you know what the 1-of-1s are? The ones with hairs. You got the hairs inside the slabs. That's really the 1-of-1. Genetic.
You got the 6'9", Jake. You got the last 6'9" cert.
Dude, this is a special number.
Oh, I love it.
And now, if I can just convince someone of that, they can try 1-of-1 eBay.
Lots of emojis in the eBay title.
1-of-1 eBay.
I mean, it does make it easy. If there's a card out there that I can't get a hold of easily, right, then it does make it a lot easier to hang on to it, right? I mean, because there's some cards that are going for a large dollar amount that I probably would sell for, like in a heartbeat, right? If it was some Pokemon set card or something, I'd instantly sell it. But I can't get a hold of this card again. That helps, right? That helps a lot. I mean, I don't know. I kind of have the like a trigger finger for selling it. Like, all right, it's going for that much. Ridiculous. It's out the door. But with Marvel, I hang on to a lot of it. You know, this is cheating because Retro gave me this card. But this sold for like $700, and it's a cool card. If Retro hadn't given me this card, this would be up for auction tomorrow, right?
I think Retro would
Since
want
he
to
gave,
use
but
for
since he
auction.
gave it to you, next week
I
it'll be
know.
on auction starting
I know. I
Sunday.
know. I'm not even going to ask though. So, but I mean, it's just, yeah.
I
It
bet if you
makes
put
it
that on
easier.
auction and sold it and then split the money with Retro, that would be
He
he'd
would
be up for that.
He would say you have to at least make $696.96. Or be the new high, or it's you. Why the hell did you sell this
It's a
card?
bust. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to Walrus's question about owning them all. I mean, I would much rather like anything beyond the one that I had. I would instantly use as trade bait, like Swammey talked about, or like something to get something else. Like I don't care to have the entire market, like because it sounds like you're like, what do you do if you want, or do you want 100% market share in something? No, not even remotely, because I feel like a lot of the items that are limited like that, like there's other factors or pieces or other things that you can collect with it, maybe within a set or something. So like you have to have that first like that first trigger to get you into it. And if it's just not available, or some of these people who just the cards just disappear in their collection for like 15 years, they're the only ones. It's like, why? Like what? I go a little bit differently. I know, Jake, you said like that's awesome. You said you kind of had a piece of like, if people aren't into this, I'm happy so I can buy them for cheap prices. Like I want everybody to be into it because I like the competition of being able to be like, I actually got this, or I actually graded this grade. I found a raw copy when all these people are looking for it. So I would much rather achieve it like once and then just decide what to do from there, instead of like saying like, I want all these, like screw the market. I'm just gonna hoard them all myself and be like doomsday prepper with this set.
Ooh,
With
that's a
the
good
out of
rating.
10 stuff and out of one stuff, like one of one stuff, like if it's actually popular, who did like there are 10 of those on the planet Earth. Like if that was actually significantly popular, you know how hard it would be to get that card, to find that card. You may never see that card ever, right? I mean, we have a few cards that are, we have a couple of one-of-ones in Pokemon. We have like the like Lugia and Ho-Oh like tournament winners with like the face of like the person who won the tournament on them. I think like Sub F, like Nathan has one of them, but like he's trying to get the other. Like it's like you do have these like insane like one-of-one cards, but my point just being that like it's, even if like nobody wants it, to find it's really hard because there's no market for it. They don't think it has any value, and so they're not going to put it on eBay. Like it's like, why, if it's only worth $20, I might as well just keep this. Like there's still incredible fun in chasing it. It's not just the value you have to pay. It's like the difficulty to actually get all of those is really hard, which is really fun. And as far as like owning more than one of one out of like the 10 or something, it just depends how much I like the card. If I love the card, if I really love the card, I'd like to own all 10. If I just
So yeah, I have no interest in that at all. I'm like, if I have one, I'm good. Like I'm one of the club. Like, sure, and there's only a club if it's beyond yourself, right?
I don't understand why it wouldn't feel cooler if you really like the card to own them all. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Just logical. Like
it would be cool, but it's like, I don't know. That just seems like so much trouble to have the 10 copies of the same card. Like, and this is just me personally. Sure. Like I would literally like have like one, maybe the first one I got, and like that feeling of being able to actually get it, achieve it, whether it be like conditional rarity or the rarity in general, and be able to say, okay, I did this. That would slowly like lessen the more copies that I got. And I would just be so...
I'm not so sure. I mean, all the fun of trying to get one of the 10 is the same fun in trying to get all of the 10. And it's just even harder and more difficult. Like it's the same chase. It's the same like excitement. It's the same fun, I think. I'm not sure if you've tried it like in anything. Do you collect anything that has like low serialized stuff? Have you collected low serialized stuff before?
Not really. No, the last set thing that I went to that was even like somewhat like limited came down to like conditional rarity. Like a PSA 9 Masaki set was the last thing I really tried to get. I mean, technically right now I'm trying to get like not serialized, but like the JR Stamp Rally 97. I just get a PSA 10 Mount Fuji Pikachu because I have everything else with the original folder and all that, but nothing like 1 of 10, 1 of 1, 1 of 5, anything like that.
So Mr. Walsh asked, like, who would you talk to the card about? Your other cards don't want to hear it. Which and what I would say is like that, to answer it seriously is like, it's fun to collect. It's not about other people and other people's opinions about your collection. Like fun, like the fundamental joy of collecting is going after and hunting cool stuff that you feel like is valuable to you at the prices that they're at. Now, there can be secondary things of like throwing it on Instagram and showing it to other people and people being like, oh, that's sick. And that's really,
oh my God.
Like, does it feel great when I show a card and Mason says that's stupid and that's terrible? to put it on Mason. Like, no, but like, you're not collecting, right? You're not collecting. Fundamentally, I never collect for other people. I can't think of a situation where I bought a card because I wanted to impress someone or I wanted to be like part of a clique or something like that.
Okay, real quick. I'm sorry. Swammey, you're just like breaking this box out of nowhere. It didn't say anything. So I think I talked about this earlier, but sorry to cut you off, Jake. I just noticed that he's just like ripping the box.
Yeah, you just noticed?
I saw you had him out, and then now I thought you were still showing cards, and I just looked over and saw a pack open. So,
yeah, I've been going through the box. YouTube does not need more spreadsheets, but I love Dan's spreadsheets.
I do like Dan's spreadsheets.
So, I mean, that's for people who truly love collecting. If you don't truly love collecting and you're more doing it for other people's sort of like attention or to like be part of a club, there's nothing wrong with that. People hate on people for ridiculous reasons. This is you. If you love showing it off and being like, I have all this money and that like makes you feel like, go for it. As long as you know that is not like real intimacy and relationship. It's the same thing. Like me owning all 10 of these cards is not going to like transform my life and I'm going to be some like spiritual self-realized guru. I'm owning 10 little pieces of cardboard that it's fun and enjoyable to chase down. You know what I mean? Like, I think for me, it's about, are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Try not to take it too seriously. And
for sure. And I think it's
weird,
all like,
if you want to collect for other people's opinions of you, as long as you're like fine with that and it's not unhealthy for you, what's the problem?
Jake, are you saying that people buy Umbreon so they can impress other people?
I have no idea. I'm sure some.
Did we get asked about Umbreon earlier? No, I think that like it just depends on kind of your, as a collector, like it's every person's subjective opinion of why they collect, right? Like some people are fine, like sitting and saying like, this is my stuff. I'm going to look at this and I'm so happy that I have this. Other people are going to say like, I'm getting this for, the flex on IG, like just to let everybody know, like, here's everything that I have. And so I think you bring up a good point. It's like, if there's a healthy way that you kind of have the expectation of like, this is why I collect, or the why, I guess, why you buy something, that's always a positive. When it comes to owning all of something, like I've never been, I always like a piece of the pie because I enjoy like being able to say like, yeah, this is one of 10 and I'm good with that because I personally don't like putting in the effort to get that much stuff. Like that's just me. Like I'd rather go after a single card, like a single grail versus something of like 10 of a set personally. But again, I think that's
they were only $5 each and you really like them and they just came up on eBay without you looking that hard. Like I don't buy
for all of them. Like
that's what they cost in a lot of hobbies that are not Pokemon or that are not the major ones.
I would end up selling some. Like I would grade them and sell some, and I'd be happy selling them for like $100. I just throw them on Ben for $100 and forget about them. I'd look at one and I wouldn't look at the other ones. Okay. It's just how and I don't know. It's just, and everybody's different. Like, I don't know if it's like something that because I have more or like excess of them, like it doesn't matter as much to me, but I don't know.
But you've never, but to be fair, PeekDatChu, you literally said you've never collected a serialized card. So how would
you know? That's true. How would I know? I'm only guessing. I'm speculating. So throw any serialized card.
Whereas like in Pokemon, it's like I'm paying $5,000 for this trophy card. I definitely do not need 5 more of this.
That's true.
I'm gonna go broke. Like I already should not have bought this one.
Touche. Good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but like if you had $100 million or something, you might feel differently even in that, But again, it's all about. Whereas like part of what's really fun, and Swammey loves Marvel, but one main reason I'm sure Swammey got into Marvel, and I got into other stuff too, is because like it was so much more affordable and we could get some of the coolest chase cards for so much less than we could in Pokemon. And that was more fun.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not, and it's just sort of like, it doesn't mean that we don't like love Pokemon. And now that Pokemon prices have come back down and for example, like Marvel cards have gone up a lot, it'd be like, Swammy's calculation may change over time. He may come back to Pokemon at one time, who knows? I'm not putting
Pokemon is unbelievably liquid. Like I'm watching people purchase modern Pokemon cards, you know, at decent prices and just hanging out with people.
Yeah.
And they are going to crush it. And by crush it, I mean they're buying a $15 card. They're going to grade it for $15, and they're probably going to sell it for like $150. And there's demand there for that. People are going to want that card graded. There's only so many people that are going to be grading that card, and they're going to do just fine on like modern cards that they're, you know, in my opinion, there's so many of. I would probably only binder collect or something like that. You know, there's I'm not doing it myself because I'm having enough fun with Marvel, but I can stand back from the sidelines and go, like, if you were just purely trying to make money, Pokemon is definitely the way to go. It's unbelievable.
Well,
From a collector's perspective, Swammey, like, oh, I'm sorry, Peek. Like, would you like, do you, because it's probably you still enjoy Marvel more for the prices right now for you, like on most things.
Yeah.
You know, so it's still like, but there would be a price because you like both these things. It's for me too. Like, I really like a lot of CCGs and TCGs, and I buy the ones that feel the best value as a collector, but it doesn't mean that I like necessarily like one more than another. I just like it for the price more than the other one, because part of this too is all about the price point and where they're at. You know,
right.
if
I feel like it's really tough right now, but it could get there. You know, like right now you're buying Gold Stars, you're buying base set first edition PSA 10 for, you know, anywhere from $500 to $4,000. Sure. And to me, like I am having fun in that price range that I'm in right now, in Marvel, and yeah, it could change. It could change. They could get very similar in price, and then maybe I look at Gold Stars differently. Now, I have owned Gold Stars in the past. Static Shock, for everybody that remembers Static Shock, I have owned Gold Stars in the past, and I might, you know, that might affect it too. I might still not need to collect those, but yes, definitely. If the price points change enough, my collecting can definitely change, because I think I'm just a collector really at heart.
And that's part of why I was like happy to have all of you guys in here, because that's something that I think we all like have gone against the grain a little bit when it comes to like things that we collect that may not even have a market. I think we've all done that. I mean, like I said, I just recently like purchased some Resident Evil 1998 Chromium cards.
Dude, we need to see these. I'm almost done with this.
No, you're all good. So it's mainly this promo here. I have the other ones are still in the mail, but Jake, it kind of goes back to what I had asked you about like finding information. So this was it was like utterly like the most like 19 like Windows XP website, like to try and find the Word doc of like, okay, here's what was in this set back in the day.
What company makes it?
I was not Wild. Maybe it was Wildstorm, because they did a comic, I guess, with Wildstorm.
Yeah, it's tough if it's not like a major manufacturer. I mean, even some of the ones that like you know, like Decipher and some of these older ones, like they still have such a great following that there's all sorts of websites for like every Decipher game. You know, every Wizards of the Coast game, pretty much, like all the dead ones. But if you get into like even like more random stuff, yeah, it's like I don't know.
It's so hard. Like Interplay is one of those two. They make like the My Little Pony TCG, and they make Zelda. So it's like that's it. And like they haven't updated their site and literally probably
sort of like it has DJ Gigabyte covered it, or if not, then nobody has online.
Right. That's so
because he collects
everything.
He collects like 10 times the amount that I collect.
He has everything IP wise. Like it's like what he's like, I have these I don't know, like different plants that they put on cards, and some are hollow. Like it's like what? Like,
I've seen some of the craziest stuff on DJs.
So much.
DJ, like literally, like holy shit! How did you even find that? If you didn't exist, no one would have found that.
Yeah,
and Radar too. Radar, shout out Radar too. That dude he's opened Lion King cards. Like he's opened so many random stuff. He was the only guy when I started buying Zelda that I saw like a collector's like fun box that he had from Zelda that he had opened, and I was like, you know what these are? Like that's crazy. Like I've never seen anybody even talk about these. And actually, shout out Dubsy and Mount Fuji, or Mr. Fuji. I don't know why I called it Mount Fuji. Mr. Fuji. They just opened Zelda boxes actually recently. I just saw it on Instagram and was cracking up with Dan because I was like, they're chasing Skull Kid. It's finally happened, and yeah, we were laughing about that. But that was one thing with the Resident Evil cards. It's like I love Resident Evil. I've read like the book series. I'm not a fan really of the movies, but I like the lore. I like the games and like all of that. And kind of similar to what you said about Star Wars, Jake. Like you paused buying Pokemon, you started looking up IPs that you really like. I really did the exact same thing. Zelda was the first one I started looking at and was like, wow, these cards actually have like super sick art. I really enjoy these. Where are they?
I think I just broke that by giving away the freaking. I think I gave away. Yeah, look at how badass this card is.
Is that Batman in the Batmobile or something?
That's Batman in the Batmobile. Super great foiling. Come on, focus.
Don't show the back. Somebody's gonna mint it.
I think I did just show the back. It's whatever. I don't know what rarity this is, but this is
at the bottom left.
Card. Look at the rough edge though at the bottom.
I think it's at the bottom left. I think that the number after A. I think that's how many there are.
52,428.
I believe so.
That's a very high number.
That is a very high number. I think the lowest I've ever gotten opening my hero cards was like, I think 400 maybe or something. I can't remember. And for anybody who doesn't know, what Swammy's breaking right now, this is actually his first box he's ever broken. HRO, I call them hero cards, but they do DC, and they're all they're NFT cards. So the back of them you scan on their actual app that HRO releases, and you mint the NFT for this card. So you get a digital version of the card that you can buy, sell, trade, whatever. I don't really know if there's a market for the physical cards. I really haven't looked into it. I just opened them maybe a year and a half ago because I was like, oh, this is cool. But pretty cool arts, actually. Have you had any good hits since we've been talking over you?
Yeah. I've had some pretty nice Spider-Mans. I've actually really liked some of the Wonder Woman, just regular Wonder Woman cards. Like,
well, I'll be right back if you want to show off maybe a couple of those hits. I'll be right back.
Yeah. This is a really nice one. I think Wonder this is a very great design to have her like kind of dance out of her everyday dress into the Wonder Woman. I think that's a great design. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's unique for sure. It's pretty awesome. Wish it was a little hollow foiling to it, but
yeah.
Yeah, definitely cool. I like the Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's pretty cool. That was the one because I think you pulled 2, maybe 3 of them so far, and that's one that I just like. That seems like an obvious grade, and it would sell.
Like this one, awesome. This one's nice. There's a lot going on. Gotta get this out of the way. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'll find it. It's kind of like flowery. It's pretty.
Yeah.
There's this one. I like all the Wonder Woman cards. I think they're my favorite. This chick is pretty badass in the show. Like, I don't know if you guys remember ever watched the TV show, but she's like she's magic. She does magic, and she's kind of like a lover with Constantine. Let me find that super Wonder Woman.
One thing that happens to me, Swammey, is that I tend to like stuff more when I start collecting it. And then over time, I like it even more the more I own of it and engage with it. And which is dangerous for people. Like I do, you have to be like, this stuff can be like expensive. And if you like go too much into like all sorts of things, you can end up like overspending pretty easily. And so I do think it's always important to say in these conversations that it's like, but like on the flip side, it's like, if you're going to spend money and time doing this, you should know what's out there so that you're able to like focus on the stuff that you think is the coolest for the best price. And I think that
to that point, like
you can't do that unless you know what's out there.
This was actually like one of the cheaper purchases for me. Like I just got a couple boxes. This was like a no big deal. Now I've really wanted to chase some of the cards from the first set, but they're too pricey, and it's like one of those things where you have to tell yourself, This is not a priority for me over my other priorities.
Are you talking about the HRO cards are pricey, Swammey?
Yeah, the PSA 10s of like the first series. Look up the joke. There's two of them. There's two Jokers. Both of them are amazing. One of them, I feel like is a must own. Like I have a Joker collection. I have a Batman collection. I feel like one of them is a must own for that collection. But this card is sick, and it's just a regular. But yeah, it's like I haven't purchased that card yet, and it's been coming down in price. You know, some of them sold for $1,000. Some of them sold for $2,000. The one in particular I'm talking about sold for about $800, and I think it's down to like $250, $200. Now that card, I might never own. Like if it all of a sudden it takes off and it goes back up to $850, it's kind of like Lorcana. Like, yeah, I love those cards, but there's got to be price points. You have to have a budget. For me, this is sick. Hell yeah. And the bottom's clean. Bottom's pretty clean.
That's one thing that I found interesting, because I remember HR, like I found it on Whatnot randomly, and then I signed up for their email list, and it was like either the first or second release maybe they had done, but I never looked for any of their graded cards because I just assumed that everybody would just mint them and they would just sell the NFTs, which I know there's a whole marketplace for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like the ones that are selling for like, you know, PSA 10 Jokers and stuff like that, like are they already minted? Because that would be interesting. Is like, would there be a premium if it wasn't? Because I would imagine you can sell the mints, and then you can also
there are
sell the card, right?
There are some graded that they have the sticky tape over the back, and I'm guessing they just sent it in and trusted PSA to not use their code. Come back and selling. So they're selling a graded. That was really, it's really a barrier for me personally to entry, because it's like the ones that were going for $2,000, they weren't minted. So you could still redeem, you could
double up, or you could, maybe if it was a super rare card, you're selling the mint for $1,000. Maybe you have the card for $1,000, but you've made back $1,000 just from selling the NFT or whatever. Because you don't have to send the card; it's just the digital card, I guess.
You could do that, but it made it very confusing for me to understand prices when you have a card selling for $800 and you also have a card selling for $1,600. And it just made it very like, do I want to have it on the NFT? Like, I got to download this app and check it out. Like, do I care about having this NFT? For me, the answer was no. So it was like, okay, well, I'm going to go for just the PSA 10, just the regular, just the raw card. But then they started coming down, and I figured they would. They've been hanging out at this price range for like 6 months now. And I think they even ticked back up when the second set came out. So maybe it's one of those things where I got to catch an auction that ends on Wednesday at 2 a.m. because the seller's out of, Korea or something, right, which has happened to me. And I love those. Right?
Yeah, Tuesday afternoon is my go-to. I'm like, what's ending today?
What's going on tonight at 2 a.m.? Yeah. But you definitely have to be careful with your collecting. And for me, over the years, I think I've managed it in terms of like, you get tools, right? And if you have, like, I have like 20 different collections going on right now. Marvel is my main one. When I am feeling frisky, right, I go to Emily. And when she's in Minnesota, I go to eBay and I look up 7 Deadly Sins gum cards from some random pack, like see if any are posted on eBay or like the phone card thing. The phone card thing is something I picked up recently because I've had a lot of cash strapped up in grading, and I like to have cash ready to go for like a big one of these cards that haven't freaking popped up that I've had on my list for a year plus, right? I like to have cash ready for those. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go for these phone cards. And I suggest that to anybody, because if you have a favorite IP, it could be some obscure anime, any of the Studio Ghibli movies, any of the Disney movies, they'll have a really cool phone card. And that's a really fun way to keep it super cheap. And really, the phone cards are the best anyway. They have literal, the color comes through so vibrant. It looks like you're looking at the TV. You're looking at the IP, the main image. They're popping the biggest image on there. And maybe because of the material, it's bright, it's vibrant, and it can be a cheap way.
The only phone cards I remember seeing are like the old TMB ones from Pokemon. I've never, like, you're saying phone cards?
Yeah, just look up I don't know, Inuyasha phone cards, Studio Ghibli phone cards, Marvel phone cards, Pokemon phone cards. Michael Jordan has a phone card from Space Jam. It's freaking sick. It's Space Jam. It's literally like the cover of Space Jam on a card. There is no card in other than that exemplifies Space Jam more than like the cover of the VHS, right? Where he's coming out the Looney Tunes a logo, and he's got the Looney Tunes next to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the old TMB ones, and then I think I remember seeing one that was a like 10th anniversary Pokemon card that was like a super sparkle chrome looking card. Oh, what does he have?
Space Jam. Oh yeah, Toon World.
Are we sealed?
Oh, we're sealed.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know it. It's all sealed.
There's no Austin Powers in there, so he's got to keep it. He's got to keep it locked tight.
That's right. That's right.
That Michael Jordan Space Jam phone card is pretty sick. That's a pretty sick card.
Are you looking at it?
I'm looking at it right now.
Hell yeah, dude! How sick is that?
Can I share? Let's see.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can share. No one buy it because it's been in my watch list for a few months, but definitely share it.
Swammy's been too cheap to buy. Somebody just
I know. I'm like,
10 minutes.
It's only 10 minutes.
There's a couple of them. Then I didn't even see this one.
That's pretty cool though.
That's awesome.
Some of these
and is it expensive?
So expensive during the boom.
Which one's
Space Jam card expensive?
That one's only $12.
There's a Space Jam set that in like good condition.
I'm sorry. This comment killed me. It's like showing like young kids what the symbol of the phone, like on the icon. They're like, "What is that?" It just means phone, right? That's great.
All right, this is the one I've been looking at.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
Oh no, I found another one.
Yeah, this one is a little bit. It's Meiji. I mean, you guys know Meiji, but 1997. And no, the one you showed is great. $12. That's great. This one is like one of the most expensive phone. What's that?
Do you know what Meiji does? You know what company it is?
No, I know with Pokemon.
Any of you guys know? Yeah, it's the same one. Chocolate.
I found the winner.
Really? A Meiji chocolate?
Come in chocolate boxes.
I found the winner Michael Jordan Space Jam one.
How much was that one that you just showed, Swami?
$199.
Let me see if I can look up the chocolate box, because that may come in a chocolate box too.
This one takes the cake.
They hit the Walmart WorldCom.
Toon Squad.
Yeah.
That's
Toon
funny.
Squad. That one takes the cake.
Actually,
what did you guys think of the PSA magazine limited prints? Did you guys see that? Their collectors club where they send out the magazine, the magazine subscription. They did like 1 of 500 or 1 of 250 covers for those. Oh, that's cool.
How cool is that, dude? They took like the best scene.
Those are pretty dope.
So I guess that's what it came in. Ready to jam. Hell yeah. Yeah, so check them out. Check out Space Jam. You can literally put in anything as long as it was marketable for any reason. Like basic, give me except for MetaZoo, give me an IP. Literally
Troll
anything.
2.
Troll 2?
I'm so kidding. I
Beetleborgs.
just wanted to-
Buy cool stuff like that. Put
Beetleborgs.
it into plastic. Turn $20 into $50.
There it is.
Beetleborgs.
Yeah, I think Dan had a similar thing. Needs to be plastic encapsulated and resold immediately.
Troll 2. Who says Troll 2, dude? You're killing me. You're
That's actually a
killing me.
very, very rare screener VHS. Extremely rare. It's like $1,000 or something crazy. Ungraded.
Yeah, I guess they have a whole category, collectible phone cards on eBay. It's that
Oh, do they really?
that massive. Yeah. Like non-sport trading cards. Yeah, they got a whole collectible phone cards deal.
I've only seen the Japanese phone cards that I've ever like. I've looked at very few, but the only ones I remember again are the 10th anniversary. It's like a very silver chrome one of Pokemon, and then the old TMB phone cards. Outside of that, I don't even think I've even looked at any, especially outside of another IP.
I can't wait for MetaZoo to make a phone card. That's gonna be awesome.
In 2023,
Yes.
what? It's almost like a novelty at that point.
Bro, Mr. Walrus, there are literally, let me see.
Let's see.
There's 100,000 plus results for phone cards. Okay. I'm not pumping nothing. All right. Nothing. Look at this. Is this a recognizable? I mean, it's everything. Everything has a phone card. Just check it out. Check it out. Cheap, affordable, very cool, collectible.
But is it gradable?
They can be. I've sent some phone cards to BGS. They'll grade. What was your saying, PeekDat? They'll grade everything.
They'll grade your toenail if you mail it to
They'll
them.
grade your toenail if you send it.
They really will. They will encapsulate it all. They'll put that lamp in a case. They'll find one.
And they'll give it
They
a
always
pedigree.
make it
Don't
up.
forget about the pedigree.
That's true.
Just for
Now,
just
they
for
won't
$2
update
or
you.
whatever it is.
You'll find out that your order has been received when it's finished. That tends to be my experience. You'll have no orders for 2 months, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, "Hey, I'm getting one mailed back to me." So you live in anxiety with BGS, but
Yeah, it's like, I emailed this gal was like, "Oh yeah, we received your order," and now it's going to be 4 to 5 weeks. And it's like, oh, what is this? It's been like 4 to 5 weeks since you received my order. What are we talking about?
yeah, that's the other thing, especially with like some of the other TCGs that are out there, is making sure that like someone can grade them. That has been one thing that I've like, even like some of the IPs that like, you don't know if there's graded copies at all, and then it's already really hard in my opinion to like find like it. And I only grade really with PSA, so like trying to find them in their sets is like super hard. So I usually have to go through an eBay listing, find a cert number, and then look up like if there's even a graded population and make sure it's not fake. That's been one thing I think that too, especially people like maybe looking at other TCGs, like especially niche ones, they're like, oh, I really like I don't know, My Little Pony, but like, do they grade it? Because I feel like that's almost like a requirement for most of us now, right? Like it has to be able to be encapsulated in plastic in order to garner a premium at some point.
Which you can do, like Berserk CCG, dead card game. Parker, she got PSA to grade Berserk, I believe. And I actually just sent in Berserk for the first time to BGS. I got actually a lot of stuff in the submission that they'll be grading for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hopefully they don't dick me over too hard, but we'll see.
Jake, you got a sealed box?
Show a bunch of stuff.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is Middle Earth. This is Lord of the Rings stuff. This is one of the greatest TCGs ever created. It's very like Magic-esque. A lot of people think it's even better than Magic. For some reason, it died out. It's phenomenal. These are pretty hard to find. This is like the limited. The Wizards is the first ever set. A really cool, like hand-drawn, beautiful art. There's just endless really cool stuff. Another Lord of the Rings things, like this one more people know, LOTR. It's the Decipher product. This is like movie scenes versus like the hand-drawn artwork. Middle Earth is basically like Magic, but Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have a ton of stuff on the back. I have, let's see. We got like DBZ score stuff. We have some like modern stuff. We got like Power Rangers. We got Harry Potter, all the original Harry Potter WotC sets. I got Weiss Schwartz back there, Magic. Let's see what other like old.
What was the TCG you had that had like the horrifying image on it? You know what I'm talking about?
A random pack. I don't even know.
Oh, it was a pack. Okay.
A bunch of like vintage Topps product, like from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, from all different like television shows and different media properties. We have like Simpsons and Looney Tunes. These are cool like WotC boxes.
What do you think about the 90s having a box for everything and the correlation between that and the card games of today? You know, there's all these new card games. In the 90s, Topps came out with a Jurassic Park. They came out with anything that was popular.
Put it on cardboard.
They put it on cardboard.
It costs these companies extremely little. They make a ton of money, and then they know when the bubble just bursts that they move on. And the only people left holding the bag are the people who were speculating and investing in all the product. And the companies, it's the same thing when people ask, well, in crypto, we have like, you know, some of these huge, we have who was it? It was, I forget, whatever. You had big, what's the name of it? It's so frustrating. I can't think of it.
What are you talking about? Like a company? A brokerage?
The one that went under?
No. Whatever. It's the
Coinbase,
point that
finance.
Through any boom, you're going to have like legitimate, really well-run businesses come in and sell a product to the people who are speculating. And they're the ones who end up making the money. And so, you know, yes, Swammey, that's what will happen now. And what is happening now with you know, with Topps and Fanatics, and now some may succeed and some may not go under, you know, et cetera, but there will certainly be.
It's a little different. I mean, because I'm also thinking of like the Kickstarter card games where
there were plenty of those too during those periods from companies that have gone under.
What a great money-making opportunity in the short term, though.
They're different, though, Swammey. They're not the big companies profiting off of this. They're genuinely trying to create something that sustains.
Right.
And they do have a lot of risk in terms of like if they go under, I don't know if they could lose a lot of money. I mean, depending on how they're running their businesses, they could have a lot of money in their businesses, and then if it goes down, they end up losing a lot or owing. You know,
do it. Buy it live. Do it live, basically.
Oh, he offered you back? You're on mute.
I just put it on my watch list, and then moments later, it's like I get a freaking offer.
Oh yeah,
do it for the stream.
Lowball that, dude. These phone cards barely sell.
Well, anytime somebody sends you an offer immediately, well, I guess they could have auto offers on.
Yeah, no, this was about 8 minutes. Like when I showed it, I put it on my watch list. So what was that? 10 minutes maybe.
It's speaking to you. Just make it happen. Maybe you can flip it to Swammey. It'll be great.
I'm from Chicago, man. You know, Michael Jordan's my guy. And
hey,
as a kid,
so I asked that earlier. So you guys are all like collector club members? I'm assuming with PSA. Like, did you guys see that they did the limited covers of their magazine
for Michael, like Sports
for Michael Jordan? No, this is PSA's magazine that they send you as part of your like collectors.
Oh God!
Did you see that?
We gotta send that in to CGC to get graded.
Oh man. Okay, all right. So which one is that? Because I think I have the same one. I think the red was the base.
Well, this is
they sent out serialized
this is the insert actually. Because the Michael Jordan one came with
there were 4 variant covers on that magazine. I've never seen PSA like announce this or do this, but they were like 1 of 500, 1 of 250, and then like the base cover that went out to like everybody for the most part. But yeah, they posted on their Instagram and they did a limited run of covers for Michael Jordan for their
Yeah, there's a green.
Yeah, the green was one that was limited, and then they had the.
They're selling for like nothing.
Are they actually selling?
Yeah. Let me look at sold listings.
I just found that so funny that a grading company like limited their own magazine.
I'm gonna buy one and send one in
to CGC.
For CGC.
Please do it. That would actually be really
That's
hilarious
amazing.
Novelty to have, like by the rarest cover and graded with CGC.
So the silvers are out of 1,000, and the reds are just.
The reds are. There were 4 variants though, because it was like silver, green.
Ooh. All right, I gotta show these because these are pretty.
Let me pull this up because
this is kind of fun.
Is this guy cool or not? Is this guy cool or not? Pass.
LeBron?
Pass.
I'm not really a basketball.
PSA is also grading their own.
Are they really? No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They are funny actually.
So I got it.
Did you just say that PSA is grading magazines?
So this magazine sold for like $500. It's out of 500.
That was the PSA magazine?
Yeah. January.
Can you share and show that?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even ask you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. This is it. This is the most limited one, right?
So this one sold for $350. This is the most limited one. This one's kind of nice too. The silver. This is out of 1,000. And then this is one that I guess they're grading. Oh no, that's a photograph. Sorry, my bad. And then the reds, if we go down here, there's this one, which is out of 2,500. And then the reds down here is the one basic.
People are actually buying it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Jordan is Jordan, baby. Let's go. I don't know though, but I'm gonna buy one of these. I might even buy. I kind of like the silver one.
The one with the PSA hologram is pretty smooth. The one with the city background, it looks like. Yeah,
that
one's pretty smooth.
And that's Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah,
ooh,
that's the.
My dad actually.
Was this 250 out of 250?
This is
out of 500. You said before.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, just out of 500.
Okay.
There's no number on it though. But yeah, my dad used to work in that triangle building. You know, the one with the diamond? Like sometimes you can see it in the movies. It's kind of like on an angle. And the face of it is a diamond. So
I did get a question from Walrus, which it wasn't a question of the title, as Dan corrected. But the question is, I guess, any of these IPs, do you guys see? I'll ask it 2 different ways. One, because I don't want to assume what you think, but I can kind of guess in my brain. Do you think any of the IPs that we've talked about tonight will ever even come close to Pokemon? I'm assuming that's a no from everybody. But what are you guys seeing on other TCGs right now that Pokemon should either mirror or they're just missing the boat on? Do you guys see anything that they're doing that's like, I don't know?
It's easy.
All right.
One word. Kids. Done.
Kids.
Kids are, if Pokemon.
I said, what are they doing? And you said kids.
Say again?
I said, what are they doing? And you said kids. Let's elaborate.
What are they doing? Pokemon. I mean, what
so Pokemon is attracting.
Because we can agree, right? Well, I mean, you said we are all agreeing that no one's really going to overtake Pokemon. So what are they doing that everyone else?
What do we mean by overtaking?
Isn't or can't? It's just kids. It's like when you're marketing.
That's such a convoluted question because I think Marvel is doing better than Pokemon for me. Right now, it's in terms of dethroning, where you have,
let's say, mass market appeal, being able to eventually come. I don't think they're ever going to get dethroned, but like mass market appeal, being able to take a significant market share. Like people look at it and go, Pokemon and this are the collectibles card market. Because I don't think there is a company or a
So
not a company, but an
collectibles
IP that I could
card
see.
market. No, I don't think so. In terms of like sheer mass is just insane. I think Pokemon could definitely have a big pullback and still be absolutely insanely massive, right? I'm not worried about Pokemon going anywhere, and I don't want Marvel, let's say, or Star Wars to get to be like Pokemon, really. At least the cards that I like the high, super high quality, kind of expensive, more expensive cards to make, that are really fun chases. They're giving the collector everything they want. If they could, and they have done stuff like Marvel's had certain types of sets that come out to GameStop, and they're readily available at GameStop all over the place. And that can help bring in demand. I kind of like the selling in Target, selling mass-produced stuff, Walmart, Target, GameStop, in order to get more people into kind of the cards that I like, the more exclusive, higher insert type cards. But at the same time, like if you look at Pokemon, I also don't think it's feasible for Pokemon to include in their regular sets premium inserts like sketch cards or autograph cards, on-card autograph cards. Could they do it? Yes. I feel like they would need to come out with a completely separate collector's product, which they've done before.
But why? Like, why would you not think that? Like, wouldn't you think that would generate even more interest into a set if they did include like a sketch card or like a?
They got a lot
Hey
of
guys, there's
blowback.
1 of 10 out of here. Like, I feel like it's almost inevitable. I feel like they're already kind of testing the waters with these like random signature cards. Like, I just think that.
But
like,
if you look at any other IP that's actually doing sketch cards or signature cards, you're talking like 35,000 boxes, 70,000 boxes. I haven't heard of anything over 55,000 boxes.
right.
Boxes. No one is producing that many autos, that many sketch cards in any particular set. So you're going to be talking about Pokemon where, you know, I don't remember the numbers anymore. So I don't want to say hundreds
They're
of
so
thousands.
huge, though, yeah.
Dan is in the chat. He can tell us how many hundreds of thousands of boxes of any given set or product. I don't see how that's feasible. I mean,
He definitely can't tell us, unfortunately.
What's that?
He can't tell
I
us.
said
But
he definitely can't tell us. But
Well, to a you know, like to a T, no, but he's got a pretty good idea.
he could be a million off, in my opinion. I mean, like
Close enough.
A million off of
my
$10 million.
point
Jake,
like,
justify my $10, dude. Yes, Dan is pinpoint accuracy.
Well, in terms of like scope,
that's not hitting on Dan. And Dan's like the most rational, logical person, like one of the most people in the hobby.
But I
No,
mean,
he
if
says
you're a
he's
million
off. He's
off,
like, I
what's
could be
the
like
point? That has
easily
nothing
off.
to do with the point I'm making. Like 50,000 boxes, and he could be a million off of 8 million or something. And it's the point is still there. Like the amount of sketches and autos that you would have to do to even bring it into a realm of even pullable in a regular set. That's why I feel like they would have to move it over to a collector's set, because like the numbers in Pokemon is just absolutely insane.
But what do they have to lose though? Like what if every set they came out with going forward, they're like, hey guys, there's 10 cards in this, and they're 1 of 10. Like, what do they have to lose?
Oh my God,
every single set, they're like,
there's no way to
man,
know any of this. I mean, it's so. I mean, what I would
I'd
say
love
is
that.
like,
I would go out and buy Modern in a heartbeat for that reason. Just
well,
for the
you wouldn't be
chance
able to
and the
buy it
gamble.
because all of the middlemen and the distributors would hold the product back and would charge an insane premium. Like if they ever like, now if they did a million set, and to pull a serialized card was 1 out of like 100,000 packs,
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I would love that. That would be so cool to do.
If they did that, that would be different. But if they tried to do it more like Star Wars or Marvel, where they just had they made so many sketch cards, or they made so many of them that like you still got 1 out of even if you had one out of a case or whatever, or they made a small set, not a main set, but they had a small, which is what I was saying, they did like a Topps Chrome, right? A reboot of that. And they made it only 10,000 boxes or something. It would be like, yeah, those boxes would very likely be extraordinarily expensive, and they would be, it'd be the people with the longest relationships with the distribution, and they probably already be very expensive, and then they would probably make a huge amount of money on it, and you'd have a lot of negativity, and the same arguments that's always made on these things on the left and right. You have people who would say, people like Dan will come out and say the market's the market, which tends to be where I would agree. And why are we getting so upset over cards? And then you're going to have people who are like, it's ruining the hobby. And, and yeah, I mean, to Swammy's point, like it would be to do it on a mass scale. No one's done that, so it'd be interesting. I don't think necessarily Pokemon couldn't do it, but you'd also have to think, how long would it take them to plan and get all of those artists to make all of those cards? And, what if they, instead of doing like serialized, it's just sketches. So it's all one of one, like original sketches. Like how many would they need to put in? It'd be hard for me to imagine. Like that would be the next thing that I would do. If I was running Pokemon, the next thing I would do is just one of one sketches. And I would put it in a main product, and you would just have to have enough of them that it could be like decently frequent to get them. Now, I have no idea what the cost of something like that would be, or if it would be worth it. And maybe it would be so expensive they wouldn't do it. But I think that would be extremely popular.
I don't know if they would do sketch because they'd have to pay the artist probably to negotiate that type of stuff. And depending on what it was, I mean, you're talking royalty, you're talking just one-time payment. I don't know what that contract looks like, but I would think that if it's just like, even if just throw an alt art out there, like, I don't care what it is, like make it rare, make it an insane chase, like just absolutely ridiculous chase. Do that going forward, and just think every Pokemon set that comes out, there's 10 cards out of all these hundreds of thousands, whatever the number is, like boxes that are printed, there's going to be one of 10 out of these. I mean, you just create such an invigorated market of like,
how many artists, how many sketches would you think is reasonable for one artist to do, even if it's just like a pencil, like a just a etched, there's no coloring, there's just
do a bunch. No, they do a bunch. So like in Marvel and Star Wars, you may have 5, 10, 25, 50. I don't have any insight though, Swammey, and like what would actually be like how long that takes. It's completely different for every artist. Like you have artists who have these like incredibly like sophisticated sketches that may make 3 or whatever. 9.1. It can't be done. No one knows how many energies are printed.
I'm just saying in Spider-Man Metal, if you had one sketch per case, you had 4,000 sketches in the set, and that, like, let's just say that's the math. 4,000 sketches. Okay, well, break that up. Or I'm sorry, you'd have 2,000 sketches. So you'd have 2,000 total sketches. If you broke that up between 20 different artists, they would only have to do 105 sketches only. Some of them couldn't hit that number in 2 months time frame. Some of them could hit that number in a few weeks, depending on the quality of the sketch. But I'm not asking, I don't think it would be feasible. Pokemon has many artists, but even if they had all of their artists, let's say they have 40 that they go to, and they all did 50 sketches, 40 times 50, that's 2,000 sketches. Like, it's just like, no way. Like,
well, I don't even like care about sketches though. Like, I just want some card that's rare.
Well, my point is, like, I don't think you can put that in a set. I think that Pokemon just has too many. I think it has to be like a Topps collector set or a special set on the side or product on the side where you can buy into this. Because I just don't think Pokemon is so big. To answer the title of your, is anything ever going to dethrone Pokemon? The only thing that can dethrone Pokemon is Pokemon.
That's true.
Because it is massive, right?
My thing is like, I love the idea of it. Everyday Joe Schmo buying a pack, buying a booster box, buying an ETB, and opening up one of these one of like 10. Like, I love the idea of that, because that means that like yeah, you could be a distributor, or you could be an LGS or a distributor or somebody and hold back the product, like Jake said. Oh, I held back these like 100 cases, but like
You want to buy
still
some
could not
Marvel?
pull it. Yeah, right.
Because I could make that happen for you.
So 100%. So
So
100%.
one like what these other card companies do is the actual artists that like have made the actual cards would only do a very small percentage of the actual sketches. But like, how would you keep that all under wraps with all of these anonymous random people that they'd be reaching? I mean, there'd be artists all over the world who would love to have their art in a Pokemon pack. But how do you actually functionally do that? Doesn't make any sense. Clearly, it would be much cheaper and easier to do like serialized parallel stuff in a separate thing. As far as Pokemon being like the best ever, 4 or 5 years ago, Magic was bigger than Pokemon in terms of the TCG space. So I do think we have to be careful of like, and Dan made a comment here. I'm guessing this is sarcastic, that Pokemon is 25-year history. It's unreasonable to think anything can overtake Pokemon in the next 100 years. Like, I don't know if he's being serious or not, but like the point just being that like, if kids aren't that into this, and like Lorcana it's very unlikely to be Lorcana. Lorcana is far more likely to be a complete flop, and then Disney just gives their thing to some other game. Like Disney can just give their IP to a lot of things. Like people thinking that like Lorcana is going to be the only Disney thing ever, and so they're investing heavily in it. Like that's very risky. But the idea that like some other IP, or even an IP that's like none of us are into, but kids really like now, like, you know, like something could overtake it at some point, but it's not going to happen all at once. It's not going to happen all of a sudden. And, you know, Pokemon has a lot of positive things going for it. It's extremely massive. The amount that it's selling right now is insane. There's no reason to think that like anything's going to overtake it. And as far as the 3 things we talked about tonight, they're really tiny. I mean, the card market around like Marvel cards and Star Wars cards and MetaZoo is all like, it's a fraction of a fraction. And 2 of those aren't even TCGs. You know, MetaZoo at least is a TCG and is in sort of the same category of Pokemon. But
yeah, CCGs are not. I don't know. I don't even know what the number 1 CCG is. Like CCG, like collectible card game. Like, is there a number 1?
Isn't it Yu-Gi-Oh? Isn't Yu-Gi-Oh like the highest card? They sell the most cards.
That's a trading card game, though, right? Trading card means that you can actually play them collectible.
Oh, just collectible card game.
Collectible card game.
I have no idea.
So so they're all games, right? So TCGs and CCGs, they are games. Like these dead CCGs that people talk about, they were games too. But trading card game and CCG are actually the same term. I think CCGs just got like replaced, even though they're like about the same thing technically. I heard someone because I had that same question, like what's the difference between a TCG and CCG?
Playability, because Zelda, there is no playability to this card at all.
But collectible card games, it's a game, meaning it's
playable. Yeah, so that's just a non-sport trading card.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So Marvel and Star Wars are not CCGs. They're not games. They're just collectible items.
Yeah, just trading cards.
Yeah. So like, but what would be the biggest just trading card? Like if we want to say non-sports trading card,
like a non-playable, like you just can't play.
It's Marvel, right? I mean, right now.
I think it's probably Marvel. I don't know. Garbage Pail Kids seems like there's some stupid Garbage Pail Kids.
Crazy prices of Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah. Right now, I think it's probably Marvel. I think you have, you know, with stuff that's actively going on, with maybe Star Wars being the next. We'll see how Lorcana does. Like MetaZoo is obviously like really high up. Like, MetaZoo's TCG, excuse me. So it's not that's a game, but you have what do you have? You have Fanatics doing like Zero Cool, doing like you have like Game of Thrones, and you have like they're gonna be doing they did like Jackass. They're doing what's it called? It's the show people like on Netflix for a while.
Stranger Things.
Like, yeah, who knows like how all these things will do.
But isn't that going exactly back? I was thinking about Stranger Things when I was asking you about the 1990s. If it has a movie, give it a set of cards, Topps era, right? That to me feels a lot. Now, if there's actor and actresses autos in there, that's really cool. That's a big chase. I mean, especially if you think you want to get in on this person's career early. But that, like Stranger Things and stuff like that, that feels a little bit 1990s. We're just gonna make a very easy product and sell trendy. The crap out of it.
Like really trendy. Like there's a time limit to that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Like when the queen dies, there's a time limit into getting into her car. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think that Star Wars and Marvel, with the amount of money and the theme parks and all the money that Disney is putting into these properties and like the hugeness of those brands and TV show, video game, movie, theme park, like how broad all of that is and just the size, like the amount of money. I mean, these are like 1/4, 1/3, 1/4 the size of Pokemon, massive things. Harry Potter's very big too. Which hasn't really, and that's an area where I am surprised that they're not yet.
I was about to say the same thing because Harry Potter, the last movies that came out, like in books,
yeah,
it's still around. It's still so like
they gave up on those movies. I don't know why.
And they got like the cards for Harry Potter, like the Wizards of the Coast stuff went up quite a bit, but the stuff that went up even more, those went up a ton by percentage basis. But like the autographs, like for there are like Harry Potter autograph sets. Those are the same as like Marvel and Star Wars, like MCU. It's like it's very similar, but they haven't like. I don't think there's like nearly as much of it. I don't even think they're continuing to make those. I don't think that there are new ones or new products that I know of.
I haven't seen anything. It's not Rittenhouse. It's the other. Is it Cryptozoic? No, it's not Cryptozoic. Maybe it was Rittenhouse that did Harry Potter, the autos and the patches. The patches are really cool. You can get patches from like their costumes on set.
Oh, that's cool.
I was surprised that it is cool. Like Emily thought it was cool, and whenever Emily thinks something's cool,
the mass market has spoken.
Mario Pikachu, dude. Last time she said, "Oh, that's cool," was Mario freaking Pikachu. It was a gold mine. But I mean, Harry Potter.
Well, it's interesting. I was in Books or not Books a Million. That's back home. Barnes and Nobles, and there's like a huge Harry Potter section of like all the books, all the random ones, and like I don't know if they had cards. They just had a bunch of random stuff, but it was a huge section just to Harry Potter. And I remember thinking about that because I know Jake, you guys have you've done Harry Potter for a while. I know Rock Pokemon. He opened up some Harry Potter with us in Denver Collecticon as well. I was like, I started thinking like, how old is Harry Potter? Like they haven't made like new Harry Potter stuff to my knowledge, but it's still relevant. Like people are still like, I don't think they'd be making these massive displays and massive sections if it wasn't still relevant. So yeah, that is kind of surprising that these things haven't like exploded or taken off more than I guess they have, like you're saying, but
yeah, I'm surprised like they don't have a TV show yet. Like this stuff has to be coming. Like
it's unbelievable. Yeah, they need to capitalize on this. I don't know why they gave up on Fantastic Beasts. I thought it was. I kept hearing like, oh no, they're struggling to get it approved, get the next Fantastic Beasts approved. I'm like, the last movie was fine. What are we doing?
What Crown said is true. Like if you guys have seen that, there's a huge game coming.
Emily is so
gameplay for.
Pumped. Yeah. I pre-ordered that game. It was supposed to come out in like December. Pre-ordered that game for her birthday. Her birthday is January 2nd. It's not coming out till February, so that really screwed me.
Yeah, Jason's right. I mean, the whole like trans comments, the comments that J.K. Rowling made about that community is like a big deal, and like they're like even with people like boycotting the video game and should you play it, should you not? Like these are all like elements of that you do not see in any of these other IPs at the moment.
But that's so sad. Like that's I would be shocked for even companies to turn away from that amount of money. Like it seems like Harry Potter, like it's not like we're talking about like maybe a Stranger Things or something trendy that's like, oh, this is really popular, we can make a pretty good buck. Like Harry Potter has like the longest legs ever. Like that could literally like
it's gonna be Star Wars.
We're talking a decade of gains here. Like I just it just seems odd. Like now that you've talked about it, it does seem odd that they haven't continued it. Or yeah, that's true. They're still doing other stuff with it. Yeah, that's true.
It's just an IP like in Star Wars. We were watching Andor, very good TV show. Has nothing to. I haven't seen a Jedi yet, and it's just based in the universe of Star Wars, a character and his story. It's fantastic. It's a great TV show. It'll never die. It'll never die.
I'm someone who like because I love all these IPs. Although to be fair to Marvel, like Marvel's my least favorite, so it's unfair for me to like I'm gonna like the other, like even with the same quality of all of them. But the fact that I like the Marvel movies so much more than the DC movies says, you know, I mean, everyone knows it's so obvious how bad those DC movies are.
The animated movies from DC are like epic.
And how great Robert Downey Jr. is. Basically, Robert Downey Jr. single-handedly, in my opinion, like he should be given like $1 billion from like
he showed him like you can be this character. Same with Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman did a fantastic job.
Hugh Jackman did great, but Wolverine is actually cool. Iron Man is awful.
Mark Ruffalo
actually
awful.
terrible. Iron Man is like the worst character.
Iron Man is dope.
Incredible.
Iron Man is dope.
Iron Man's
so bad. Basically,
Iron Man's only cool because
the old Iron Man
because of Tony Stark. Like
it's so. People's reaction when they were making that first Iron Man movie was like, Iron Man sucks. Why are they making Iron Man? And then he was like so amazing. So now when we think of Iron Man, we think of him. But actually, if you go back to like the actual character, it's kind of like what?
Even the comics now have like Robert Downey Jr.'s likeness. Like they've completely changed it and just made him like Iron Man. Which I mean, you know, they should. But
yeah, I agree that Robert Downey Jr. definitely carried. Awesome. That was an awesome character.
Look, I was a fan of Edward Norton Hulk. I'm not a fan of Mark Ruffalo. I think he's the most. I'm like, if anybody could fail up into a movie, I'm like, holy crap, this guy did it so well. He's so boring. I have no idea what's going on. But
I can't wait to get new. Like, I want a new Cyclops, like the pretty boy face Cyclops from back in the day. Never liked it. Hugh Jackman. I wish he could be Wolverine forever. It makes me nervous to think about who's going to replace him.
Well, he'll be a Deadpool too, or Deadpool 3, I guess.
Halle Berry. Love Halle Berry. Halle Berry. But we could probably get a pretty badass Storm. You know what I mean? That's not Halle Berry. But
like the young Storm, whatever that actress's name was, I forget what her name is.
Actually, they didn't give her a very large role, and she was Mohawk Storm. I feel like the shoes are still open to be filled. Yeah, it was Mohawk Storm.
The hard part about hearing it too is because I actually do prefer like the DC stories, but Marvel like crushes the movies. Because like DC has like Dark Knight's Metal, has Injustice, which why do we not have an Injustice movie like that's actually a one-shot legit movie? Like there's so many good stories.
The character development and like the actual like superheroes and villains, like the sophistication in the DC, and then like Star Wars, like the good and evil that's going on in Star Wars and like the massive universe and all the little like subplots.
Give us Knights of the Old Republic.
Harry Potter is an incredible in story and character development and like world. I just never felt like Marvel had that for me. Marvel always felt kind of like the superheroes were cool, but I didn't feel. But that can very much be because there wasn't anything that great back then, except maybe the comics, and I wasn't a huge comic guy. So because I didn't like engage in the comics, I didn't like, you know, fall in love with the characters or see the world or understand the characters as I did with like, because like the early movies, like some of the Batman movies and the Batman like television shows were so good. Like the Batman stuff,
the animated series,
was like so good as
love
a kid.
all the animated series. Yeah.
Well, DC crushes animated stuff, but like I like Marvel when it comes to like Thanos, Galactus, like those type of characters. Just like Doctor Doom is actually my favorite Marvel character of all time. I think the dude is like the sickest character ever.
He's coming, and
he needs to be like not the guy from Nip Tuck, if you remember whatever. I forget the actor's name, but like. He was cool, but like
Grey's Anatomy or something.
No, it's Nip Tuck. It's like he was one of the doctors, but we need like a Book of Doom I think it's called Book of Doom. Is that story like to be so sick?
The thing is, there's great stories. There's also like Thor, the most recent Thor movie. Gore the God Butcher is my favorite Thor strip by far. I was reading it as this comic was coming out. Probably back in like 2012, 2013. Love, beautiful artwork, but Gore, you have they depicted Gore okay in the show, but in the comic, you literally have 3 Thors. You have 2,000 years ago Thor, where he's a bachelor, he drinks, hunts, and he's screwing all over the place. He's a bachelor. He's a young Thor. He's a young Norse god doing what young Norse gods do. Then you have today's Thor, the Avenger Thor. He's more fatherly. He loves Jane Foster. And then you have future Thor. And the part about the bachelor Thor and today's Thor is they hate their prick dad Odin's son, who's a jackass. He's a grumpy old man. The beautiful part about this whole thing is that future Thor is Odin's son. He turns into his father. He turns into the grumpy old man, and they're battling Gore over a triple timeline where you have Bachelor, Avenger, and Odin's son Thor battling Gore the God Butcher.
Such a random comment to say. I just
Why you smell like that describing young Thor? Okay,
I love comments. Like
I'm trying not to say, but you have this full character arc. You have comedy. You have this turning into your dad. You have like battling the world. Gore is that big of a villain that it takes 3 Thors in order to kill the guy. And the movie had none of that. The best part about that whole series, the movie had none of, because they were introducing Jane Foster as Thor, the female Thor, and to start getting her going with her own character arcs. So they literally are kind of handicapped when it comes to the beautiful story of a lot of these characters have some great stories, but they're also like making it cinematic, making it very big. We're going to make the money on this movie type deal. Blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, the only character that I feel like is a human being is Tony Stark. The other ones, it's sort of like just funny. Like the jokes are just funny. Like they're love like the Guardians of Galaxy. Like any scene with Thor and the Guardians of Galaxy are the best scenes from the movies. But it's not because like I'm like care about these characters. It's just like hilarious that they're just like making fun of each other, and like it's just like great writing.
It's a fun thing.
But like Iron Man was actually a really good movie. Like, and you actually felt engaged with these characters. Like the only character that I feel any sort of like I care about at all in any sort of way, you know, would be for me, you know, from the, and X-Men has some good moments too, and some good character development too.
Days of Future Past.
Very separate.
X-Men struggles a little bit because there's so many characters. It's tough for them to hone in on the feelings and arc of any one for you to connect with.
Yeah.
But Black Suit Spidey from the old Spider-Man, the 2000 Spider-Man back in the day, I rewatched those movies and I connected with that character a lot. You cared a lot about him a lot. He got the black suit, so he's losing his powers. His relationship's going to crap. His job is going to crap. His school is going to crap. He's stressed out. There's too much going on. No one's there to understand because they're all kind of going through their own thing. And that all getting kind of resolved in the end. That character, but that's 20 years ago, right? There
are literally like 20 characters at least from the Star Wars universe that have never made it in any sort of main thing that are arguably cooler than any Star Wars character that has been in any of the movies. Like we're going to start to meet some of them, like Thrawn. Now, people who know some of the stories and who like have watched like Rebels and like some of the animated stuff will like know some of it, and certainly people have read the books. But like there's all of this, like there's so many cooler villains in particular, and some sick Jedis. Yoda's my favorite for sure on the good side, but they're like way cooler like dark characters that like that people don't know. And then there are characters that are geniuses like Thrawn, who's like he's a strategist, like genius, not even a. Do any of you guys know who Thrawn is? You ever heard of Thrawn? So no. Thrawn will be in Ahsoka for the first time, which is coming. You guys know who Ahsoka Tano is?
No.
Yeah. So there's just so many, like, these are like key characters. So any like people who are super into Star Wars would like know everything about these characters, like because they're like the favorite. They're two of like the favorite, you know, top 5, top 10 characters for people who love Star Wars. So there's just they're putting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars getting ready to like introduce all of these things. The best stories have barely been told. Like it's basically was sort of just like the original movie and then like following their families. Now we're getting into like all of these off characters, and we've only told the story between 2 time periods. There's all these other time
That's
periods
what-
already told outside of it. And it's
that
like
bothers me so much.
Yeah,
Because
it's
there's
gonna
Knights of
be
the Old
endless.
Republic and like all of that.
Yeah.
Like it's like some
And
of the best stories ever.
And the character development is just like so good in these things. Like these show, like you could not be a fan of Star Wars, and I think you would like Andor. Like like
Oh yeah, Andor is great.
You
Like,
know,
I'm gonna probably pop off here early enough to watch one more episode because that's what I want to do with Emily. But
yeah,
but hold up here. Hold up.
None of those characters are even that good in Andor, to be honest with you. Like,
no, it's just an
but it's a beautiful
interesting
show. But wait till they like add Thrawn and Ahsoka. Like some of these, like the characters themselves are awesome. Yeah, it's just.
But I would say
Star Wars from here.
I would say Pokemon is dethroned when we're talking about this demographic. No one, I don't think anybody will argue with you that look at the Star Wars expansion Jake just explained, because we're talking about no-name characters, and literally you're talking about a cyberpunk future reality that there's a lot of people love to fantasize about. It's a very relatable place. They make it very easy, and they're going to do cyberpunk future reality stories better than anyone for the next 50 years. Disney is, and Marvel, right? Marvel has Blade. We have some badass characters. Hey, red or blue. I'm almost done here.
What's up, Rob?
The point is, like, for adults, I am watching Andor or I am watching the next Blade movie a million times over before I turn on a Pokemon anime. And I'm not trying to dig at Pokemon. I'm just saying, no, I don't think the cards can be overtaken. You have all these kids around the world that are going to love the cards for as long as it stays relevant. But I don't think anyone's arguing that in the adult demographic, I think you have a much easier, let's say, from sports card collectors going from sports cards and they've never collected anything else. If you said you have to collect something else, I think Pokemon is behind on the list after Marvel or Star Wars for the average adult, if I had to guess. Because even as a parent, you can connect with your kid, even though your kid might like Pokemon. You're still going to connect with your kid over Spider-Man or Yoda, right?
All I know is I can connect with Wonder Woman or Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. There's something about her character development that just really, attracts.
I want an Elizabeth Olsen signature. I don't own anyone's signature, but I love that girl, right? I think that woman is beautiful. Think she's a great actress too, but it's just like she's captured me since the first time. I'm like, oh man, that's the Olsen twins' sister. I didn't even know they had a sister.
We haven't talked a lot about anime tonight, right? I mean, anime has incredible stories and huge fan bases for like lots of animes, and it's the same type of thing. I mean, there's a lot more richness in the characters, and than something like in Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
Pokemon is very built on adorable, phenomenal art. And the sort of like the just cuteness, and then like the beauty of sort of the beauty of the gotta catch 'em all thing, and how perfectly that fits within collecting, and the fact that it hit our era, and the fact that it's so kid friendly, so it hits our era, and it's so like this stuff is, I mean. Like Grogu was a massive hit. Like Grogu,
oh my god!
Like there are gonna be things that like hit kids, like from other stuff, but like Pokemon is so massive with kids, and there's so many Pokemon that are so massive with kids, and I don't think that's true in the same way. Like they're aware of Marvel, they're aware of Star Wars, but I don't think it's true in the same way. The way that particularly pretty young kids. I know like people, like kids in my family who are. Particularly like 6, 7, 8, 9. There's something about Pokemon that just like rocks their world, just like it rocked our worlds. I don't know. It's weird.
I discovered prehistoric Pokemon last night. Are you guys aware of these?
Well, like Relicanth or something, or
no, like the prehistoric versions of today's Pokemon. Not like you got the fossil and you brought Kabutops back, but like the elephant Pokemon. I saw his prehistoric version. Looks like a badass mammoth, almost like bigger tusks. Yeah, check them out. That's what they brought in the new generation. Is like, so they have the future version, which is basically a robot. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. It's not a Pokemon. It's a robot of a Pokemon. And then they have the prehistoric versions. So it's kind of like light and dark, but the prehistorics, you can catch them in game. Apparently, they're insane. Check them out. Check them out.
What's happening, Rav? What's going on?
Yeah,
man?
what's up, dude?
What do you think?
Hey, I don't know what I walked into, but I'm enjoying it. I'm digging the vibe. Just coming on to say what's up. Peek asked me to come on, so I'm always down if I have some time.
We're trying to rank MetaZoo characters. We haven't talked about MetaZoo in a while. This has been an unfair stream for Basic because
Basic has just been watching this non-MetaZoo content. My apologies, Basic.
I'm actually watching the stream for MetaZoo, to be honest. There's a tournament going on, and if anyone was wondering, I ranked 12 today, so not bad.
Congrats, man! That's awesome.
Once you've collected MetaZoo, why it's all downhill from there. So all these other IPs are trash now.
Look, listen, I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one to admit that my nerd has limits, extreme limits. And so you guys talking about characters and Star Wars within the movies and character development and Harry Potter, I'm just like, whoa. I would say though, because Jake, you actually you were talking about Pokemon and why it means so much. It's the reason why I don't think, and this is going to go way back to like 30 minutes ago. It's the reason why I think Pokemon will probably in the near future. And when I say near, I'm talking about like 5 years, 10 years. I don't think they're going to go the serialized extreme rarity route because I feel like there's already a problem today of a huge crowd just buying the product for that one chase card, for the Moonbreon, and everything else is trash. And that's okay because obviously Pokemon doesn't really care as long as they're making money, right? But at the end of the day, they do have to feed into the kids, right? To kind of keep growing the company. The kids are what's going to essentially, I don't know, they're going to sustain the hobby. They're the larger number. And yeah, can you imagine, like, to me, that's just like you're targeting the adults, not the kids, right? And I get that. And I think there's ways to implement the whole serialized sketch card, auto, pool into Pokemon. But I just don't think they will do that. I don't think they will dabble into the extreme rarity just because it's going to be it's diverting too far away from the kids. It's diverting too far away from what Pokemon is.
But do you think like today's prices on certain products, like they're not really steered toward kids, right? Like I would even argue, like even look at Pokemon Center with their ETB prices now. Like what are they, $60 bucks? I feel like that's even a stretch for like the kids. You know what I mean? Well, then you look at like UPCs and things like that. I mean,
and obviously ETBs. It doesn't matter what the product is. The kids are not buying these products. It's the parents, right? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's not the kids that are pulling up their wallets. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between one of those, what do you call them?
Well, let me say this. What if you only threw it in booster boxes?
If you put them in booster boxes?
Just in booster boxes.
Right. No, that's what
only way you could pull it.
Again,
that way all the kids have all the ETBs, all the 10s, all the Pokeball like stuff that has 2 packs in it or whatever.
I think everyone here would love that, right? Would love serialized cards or sketch cards or auto cards within Pokemon. I just don't think, once again, it's like, so now they're targeting us, this one demographic of, the millennials, and it's not the kids anymore. And then it just becomes the adults buying everything up and opening everything. And it's just like, forget the kids. And eventually I feel like that will become such a problem where I feel like that can actually kill Pokemon, right? When you're taking away that innocence within the game. And now it's just become this not a cash grab, but it's just become this max rarity, and that's it. 99.999 and forever. The rest of the cards are meaningless, right? It almost feels like that right now when the only chase is that alternate art, right? And that's it. Everything else is trash. So all the people here, we really don't care about the commons and uncommons already, right? We only focus on those max rarity, cards right now. So to implement something like that, just my, own obviously dumb gut feeling is that can actually be the demise of Pokemon to add something like that. When it'll shift completely over to the adult and the money and the chase versus like the kids and the innocence and what Pokemon has always been.
Well, so what I'm curious, Rob, just to bring you in on this. So we were talking earlier about like, 1 of 10 cards in Pokemon and like just random stuff like that. Because Jake showed off some of the Star Wars cards that are autos. I think you said they're 1 of 10, Jake, and like, very, very limited serialized cards. What are your thoughts on Pokemon doing that at all? Positive, negative in the future? Do you think it's coming? And what are your thoughts about that happening?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly, I'm not sure. I love where, very cool.
One of one's a Bulba. No, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, is that a 1 of 1? That's awesome.
Well, it's hilarious that it's a Bulba.
That's that character. Yeah.
I actually like that they're going the exact opposite direction right now with all like the art rares and how good the art is right now. It makes me appreciate a lot more of those. Like Retro just did a post on Instagram today or yesterday, whenever it was, and said something like the most random Pokemon have the best art or something like that, and they're really doing that nowadays. It's not like the Charizards that just have these really good artworks or these big chase cards. They're given all these amazing, phenomenal arts, alternate arts, the amazing rares or the SARs or whatever you want to call them, all their little lingos change from set to set. But I really think that they're going in a really positive direction. I think it would be cool to have something with the illustrators, to continue on with that. I'm not really the biggest fan of the written signatures. I just think that there's so many out there, and it's just
pulled one in one of your streams, right? I think I was on that stream on YouTube.
No, I mean like when illustrators sign the cards.
Oh, you're talking about
people going to events. Yeah. I just think that it's fraught with so many, manipulation and just malintent from what it's supposed to be, that it just kind of like isn't for me, really anymore. But I do like the Weiss SPs with the gold signatures from the voice actors. I think that'd be really cool to have something like that in Pokemon, like where Arita does that with the card. I think that would be kind of cool. But I really like how they're just, it's not just about the chase cards anymore. When I got into Modern, it's like, what rainbow rare can I pull? And that's it. Every other card from the set is dead. It's dookie. Nobody wants it. But now it's like, you can pull, a AR, Dunsparce, and it's like, whoa, look at this art. This is kind of cool. This is like hitting that feeling. This is giving me that fix that I'm looking for with Pokemon. I mean, V-Star Universe, man. How good is that set?
I gotta go ahead.
Or I was just saying, do you think they need like an almost like what feels like an unachievable level of rarity? Like, do you think that would impact the rest of, like, have everything in place as it is? There's still rare cards to pull. They still have value, but like, you just get a crazy like chase rarity in Pokemon. Is that a negative? Like one out of every 10 cases, let's say. Like, that's your average pull rate.
I honestly can't think of a negative, because you're already getting things that are hitting stuff for every single type of person. And then if you can draw in another demographic or somebody else that really enjoys that chase, the Willy Wonka, factor there, where it's like, I just want to chase it. Like, I guess that's cool too. It's fun to have that potential. Like for V-Star Universe, to have that God Pack potential, it's really fun to have that like in your back pocket, to know that that's a potential out there. I think that that's really cool, but I don't think that should be like a focus for like the overall, like, this is what the set is around, to pull that one card, that 1 in a million shot. Like, I want to see more good art. I want to see a lot more positivity with illustrators and getting more recognition to these people that are just so talented. You know, I want to see more pushing up Pokemon that aren't very popular and giving them good arts. I really like that, what Pokemon's doing.
Yeah, if you implement these crazy extreme rarities into Pokemon, eventually the kids, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, are also going to shift over to these only wanting these extreme rarities, and I don't think that's good. That's not going to be good for Pokemon or the hobby.
Potentially, yeah, I could see that.
So one thing that's great about Pokemon is there are just so many great Pokemon that, like, just like Rob said, like I want to see so many of these different Pokemon with a cool, unique sort of art and story behind it, that like I could see that for many sets in a row and be happy without them dramatically changing the art style, but just sort of changing like which Pokemon that I enjoy they're sort of featuring with a sort of similar thing. I do think eventually I'll be like Danny, like anything else. You know, I mean, eventually you have to shift things and change things, and you know,
like Danny Phantom, he's still looking for his awesome Primeape. I mean, he gets lots of commons, but I'm sure the day he gets an alt art. Just real quick, this is Greg Hildebrandt. Greg Hildebrandt is huge. I mean, he's got, his name isn't on here. He signed it very kind of like in the artwork at the bottom there, but like Star Wars Galaxy, a lot of the new Marvel sets, they're not putting the names of the artists on the cards anywhere. And I think that's a crying shame. I mean, Greg Hildebrandt has original pieces that sell for $30,000 at Heritage Auctions, $50,000. It's a big deal to not only have the name of the artist on there, but even if it's not a Greg Hildebrandt, and it's just, you know, Sao, you can take me off. It's just Sao from Pokemon. I do like that a lot. That the artist is on the card. It's
odd they wouldn't ride that wave of already existing popularity if people are buying $30,000 pieces from him. I can't understand like the business mindset of like, let's not pay any extra for the text of his name to be on the card.
Yeah, I think it's really bad with Star Wars too. Like Top should be putting the artist name on the Star Wars Galaxy cards. It's just something I wanted to say, basically.
If they wanted to do it,
the new set, yeah, they hated that.
If they wanted to do something crazy, right, and just dabble, it would have been Pokemon Go. And Pokemon is littered with smart people. I'm pretty sure it was thought of, and they just did not want to do it. It was the smartest. To me, it's the best way to go about it without actually going all in or even, you know, knee deep. Pokemon Go, get some extreme rarity that flows into the Pogo game, into the app, right? And
why do I love that art that you just showed? The one before that.
This is the original Riddler, PSA 10, baby. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Basic.
No,
sorry, he just looks so odd. Sorry, go ahead, Basic.
Very good. Yeah, like that would have been the opportune time to just implement some type of rarity into the Pogo set, and you know, whatever, 1 of 1, 1 of 10, 1 of 100, what have you, you know, shiny or alternate shiny, and put it into the game only. Not a card game where someone's going to grade it and put it up for $10,000 or $20,000. It's something that you can only redeem in the game. And then once you trade it, that feature goes away. That alternate shiny, that alternate what have you goes away. So you can't even trade it, right? That would have been the time to do it. And they didn't do it. So I think that just shows to me that they're not willing to really sacrifice or even play with the idea of doing extreme rarities and getting the kids mixed up with that idea only.
I think
the Yoda real quick. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to see that card again.
Oh, this guy. So these are fun. I really like these cards because so they have a Sith version. What do they say? Sorry, Jedi Temple version, and then I think it's a Sith information guide. So all the Sith ones on the back have like all positive stories about the Sith, and then like the archive ones have all positive stories about the Jedi, and then they have like I don't have one here, but like this card comes in both the Jedi version and the Sith version, with the Jedi version saying positive things about Yoda and the Sith thing saying negative things. And they're just like really well written and like really funny. Like
short, he's old, he talks backwards.
Yeah,
we have the Jar Jar.
like,
where's the Jar Jar
Jedi Yoda, like Scourge of the Galaxy? Like it's just like really funny.
Yeah.
I like
and then the positive story is also the same. He's short, he's old, he talks backwards.
I just want the Jar Jar Binks Sith Lord card. Let's make that happen. We all know it's true.
PeekDatChu.
We all know it's true.
I got the one of one Jar Jar.
He's a Sith Lord.
Dude, I've gone down the Reddit.
Have you done that?
On
right. Yeah. There's a reason he survives everything. He's the Sith Lord, guys. Just so you know.
What I was going to say real quick though is it's funny how like our brains work, how we're trying to cross two different types of cards. Like with Pokemon, it's based around a card game, you know, and they're bringing unique arts to keep this going, and that's all that they need to do as compared to like I'm PSA middlemaning now, and people sending me sports cards, and they have like the one of ones or whatever. But that's all that they have going for that set to push it forward is that rarity. There's no card game. There's no any other aspect to that to push it forward besides that ultimate chase. Pokemon doesn't need that. You know, it's never been based around that. So
if
I just think it's like
wasn't collectible, that shit would have died long ago.
For sure.
And I mean, that's a little extreme. I don't care about playability. I've never met anyone in real life that I've known that cared about playability. I guess I've met Mason now, but it's like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't want to just argue to argue. I think that's a ridiculous. You're completely right. It's just, I don't care about playability personally. You know what I mean?
I've never played the game once. I have no idea how to play. If you sat me down in front of a 5-year-old, he would spank me. Like I have no idea. I really don't. But it's like for me, like I'm good enough with the unique art that keeps me wanting to collect. Like, and that is enough that when you leak new sets that people go nuts over the unique art, not about the one of ones or whatever that these other sets, these other types of trading cards need to push them forward to keep them in the game. Like Pokemon just doesn't need that.
Well,
so I'm curious
one thing,
with.
But if Pokemon got rid of all the rarity differences, it would.
No, I mean like the ultimate like one of one, like how they're doing now.
I agree with that.
That's what I meant to say.
But you still need, quite a bit of rarity. Yeah,
for sure.
But it doesn't need the same. That I 100% agree with. Yeah. That's very clearly true. I mean, you have cards that have probably 100,000 copies selling for more than one of ones from these other hobbies. If that doesn't show you how much more popular Pokemon is, at least at the moment, what can? But
that's a real question.
This is actually so Walrus, I'll start on this. Absolutely, they're 100% intentional. Without question.
It never was like I never got that feeling.
Not in vintage.
Not in vintage.
Because they even they have the band Misty's Tears. They were like
Cynthia,
trying to keep it out.
Cynthia wasn't really either. Like Cynthia and Cynthia's Garchomp, it was just Cynthia in a full art. And there's never been anything. It's starting. There's been a few characters where it's like, Jesus, like, calm down. What's the woman? She's got the cap on, and she's like,
I know what you're talking about.
38 triple D's or whatever. It's just like,
I think it's Melody.
Relax.
I think I sold that for like $80 actually.
But but at the same time, it's not really like when they include trainers like Nessa or Misty. I'm not getting that. Like with Weiss, yes.
Dude, Weiss is next. Rob can
Weiss is waifu, right? I don't get that same feeling with Pokemon, even though like it's a little bit weird.
Rob, do you think that Pokemon's taking a page out of Weiss's like playbook here with the waifus? Because it does seem like the art on newer, like, and again, I don't collect modern, but I see like, or I'll pull cards or like whatever, and I'm like, whoa, like this is way different than I remember when I was a kid. Like, I don't know if it's just like, kids nowadays or whatever, but like, what do you think?
I mean, some of the Weiss cards are like borderline porn. Like, it's
Yeah,
kind of
I
crazy.
can't bring those out. Like, I've said that before. I'm like, I don't even know. I couldn't have this in public and feel okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I hope not with Pokemon, because like a lot of these people, like the girls are like 10 or young girls. So I hope that they're like, okay, she's an adult, obviously, so like I'm sure that there's gonna be some of that maybe. I mean, Japanese culture is odd, it's different. So I have no idea if it's intentional or not, but we're dealing with kids here, we're dealing with kids here.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels odd to me. Like I think it's I like this stuff for the stories, and like I'm going into all these things and these IPs for a very different reason. I'm not looking to engage with them that way. I just don't understand. Like, I completely don't understand that instinct. So, but if people have it, it's it is what it is. I mean, it's fine. Who's to say the way you should appreciate and enjoy these?
See, in that, like, go back to Skyla. Go back to
Say
Skyla.
how you should enjoy.
I mean, I'm a free. It's like it's okay. I mean, whatever.
But pull up
I don't wanna
Skyla
be
real quick. 'Cause
judgmental.
that's a great card. It is a little bit like if I was a teenage boy, maybe. To me, that's just a beautiful card. Now,
is.
I've
There's some
started
other
to think-
Skyla arts that I've seen in the past, I think, in passing from a non-modern collector that I'm like,
I have to say to myself, like, no, this isn't like Weiss status. Weiss is not trying to hide anything.
Yeah.
Weiss is like a whole different level depending on what you're looking at. But
Now, when they come out with an Officer Jenny card, I'm gonna buy Officer Jenny full art. I will. I'll be right there.
we know that.
But
for sure.
but that's kind of like a joke more than anything, because I've joked about it now so many times. I'm still waiting on an Officer Jenny card. Is Officer Jenny just like gone? Is she not cool anymore? She's not like.
All right, this
She
is
was a
where I
big-
sign off. I think
She was a big deal in the anime.
about waifus.
She's totally playable.
One of my friends told me when I was a kid, he's like, I have a huge crush on Nala from The Lion King. And I was like, all right, out of here. It's just
Like, that's the last time I had that friend, and that was in 1990.
Hey, that's an emotional crush. I feel like that is actually pretty healthy. Okay.
Listen,
Swammey was a Space Jam, whatever the chick's Lola Rabbit or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't upgrade myself
That's what he was
until
about.
Halle Berry played Storm. Okay. And then all of a sudden that became a man. You know what I mean?
Well, hey,
Alrighty.
question for Rob real quick. So, Rob, did you start in Weiss or did you start in Pokemon? I don't think I've ever heard you talk on this, or I've never asked you, but
Oh, Pokemon, 100%.
why Weiss? What introduced you to that? Like,
Connor.
I know they. Well, what did he show you? I guess specifically, like, was it like, hey, they do this IP, and you're like, I love that IP. Let me jump into this, or like, what was it? Art? Like, because I asked everybody else about like kind of some different ones that they're into. So I'm curious about yourself.
No, I appreciate the question, man. Connor's just he's so passionate about Weiss, and so he would like show me these sets, these cards. I thought the signatures were really cool, like just the look of it. And then what really got me into it was Attack on Titan, because it's my favorite anime. And so when I found out that they have like really cool cards, and I was really getting invested in the anime, really deep into the storyline and just everything about it, I saw, Connor's like, oh, they have a Weiss set, and I started just looking at that, and then it kind of just opened the door, to other stuff. But I don't have a lot of Weiss stuff here at the shop or collect a lot. I don't collect any Weiss, actually. It's too risky for me personally, but I enjoy the cards a lot. I think that they're beautiful.
Are there any other like IPs or like TCGs that you're into outside of like, say, Weiss and Pokemon that you've gotten into?
Build and Divide's pretty cool. Like, I'm looking at some Demon Slayer over here. They also had the Fate, like Stay Night. They have a couple Fates. I think those are really good animes as well. But no, nothing too much. I have enough to collect in Pokemon as is, so I try to keep my focus.
Keep yourself under control.
Small. Yeah.
So from what it sounds like, it's like anime, like as long as it's an IP that has like an anime, I guess, that you enjoy, that's what gravitates you toward the card games when it comes
Absolutely,
to
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have some Sword Art Online, like the 10th anniversary, and I think that that's a pretty cool anime, but I'm not into the whole whatever set has the girl with the biggest boobs on it or whatever. Like, it's just not my thing, man. Like, and it's fine if it is yours. It's just I don't get it,
Yep.
He's talking to you, Jake, so it makes sense. But no, I see. Like, I remember looking like at some of the modern trainers. I think there were like maybe black labels or something, and I was shocked, like, to see how much they sell for. Like, it was I didn't even want to click on the listings because I didn't want the recommended listings to come after that. You know what I mean? That was just like,
I'm also shocked at some of the prices.
they're like $700-800, man. Like
I want to let Jake say goodbye because he's yawning now. He needs to go to bed.
I need to run in like a minute or two. Yeah.
We are at 3 hours, Jake. So if you want to dip, man, I completely understand. Thank you so much for coming on, by the way. This is really fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Nice to hang out with y'all. Who's coming to Orlando of you guys?
I'll be in Dallas only this year.
Dallas.
I'm building a house at the moment. I'm local in Dallas, so that'll be easier.
Okay.
Are you going to be there? Yes. No.
Robin Basic, are you guys coming to Orlando?
Not anymore. After the announcement of towers for MetaZoo, 100K tournaments.
All right.
It's back-to-back weekends.
He's like, I just heard no. I'm done.
I'm shooting for Long Beach and Dallas.
Long Beach, Dallas. I guess sick. All right, but I'll see you there, Swan.
All right, man. See you there.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Good hanging out. Everyone have a good rest of your week. Thank you,
Jake,
for hanging.
Sleep well, man.
So Dallas wise, is that Robert? You said you're coming to Dallas. Basic, you're obviously.
I'm shooting for it. I'm definitely going to Long Beach. Long Beach is like the one that I really want to go to, but I'm traveling so much this year, man. It's crazy. So I'm gonna really shoot for Dallas.
For what work?
I went to Hawaii twice this last year, getting married soon, birthdays, just family, going to Italy for family. It's just like one of those traveling years,
You're going to Italy for family? That's awesome.
Just
birthdays. Is your family living there, or are you all going together?
No, we're just going,
Oh, okay, cool.
My fiance and her sister got her dad plane tickets, like, so they're taking him, and obviously it's like, hey, let's just go. So it's kind of like everybody's doing that for birthday gifts this year. Is just like everybody's buying trips to wherever. Italy, Hawaii.
My birthday is
Canada.
February 13th, just so Chad and everyone in here knows, and I only take Rob's type of birthday gifts. So give me a European country, please, and we'll make it happen.
Get out of here, bro. Sell your house.
I like it.
Sell my house. I know. I
house.
probably wouldn't even be able to go because my wife's like, we're going to do this. I'm like, all right. Can't go to Italy. Sorry, Rob.
Where in Italy?
Not sure yet. We're planning a couple different places and some other stops in Europe. So it's just a busy year. Plus, I love the switch that I've done to Pokemon full time. It's something that I hope to build on, but it's definitely a pay cut from my previous job. So just having to be very particular about what we want to do. Plus, we're getting married, so saving for that. Just got a new puppy. It's like just life, man.
Yeah. If you can hit up Florence, I'd do it, man. I'd love that place. It's incredible.
Yeah. When's the last time you were?
Are you going to take the slab, get the photo, and what slab are you taking?
I'm not one of those guys, man, where I need to take Pokemon cards to places. It's just not me, man. I take
offense to that.
You know what's even more crazy is people who take
man.
sealed boxes. Like, I've seen like sealed Skyridge boxes. They're like, oh yeah, check it out. I'm like,
I appreciate the dedication.
Like a $20,000 box. Like,
yeah, I appreciate the dedication. It's just not me.
That's too funny.
Yeah, Florence. If you can hit Madrid, the train system's amazing. Probably my favorite. There's some Gaudi artworks at the Madrid Museum, but outside of that, Florence is the tits, dude. Like you walk into a place and you think you're just walking into like a small little museum, like literally like a 3-room museum, because that's all it looks like from the outside. These buildings run forever, and then you start walking to the back and you just keep going. It's like a maze. You're like, oh my god, how long does this museum go for? And you come out to these fat marble, not coffins, but what do they call that? Where they bury people?
Coffins.
No, it's like the whole like tribute to them, like 2-story like. So you're going in this little tiny place, you feel like, and you end up in this like super rich families, amazing. Oh my gosh!
Collection of coffins. It sounds wonderful.
Oh, sepulchers, just huge marble, purple marble, like green marble, and then you've got I couldn't. If you got anybody gluten-free, Florence has the best gluten-free foods in the world. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I would imagine in Italy they would just tell you it's gluten-free and just give you like whatever they're.
So actually, Italy
that's why
has.
It's so amazing.
Emily has celiac, so Italy, they've tested like 60-some% of all Italians are celiac. Italians, pasta, pizza, so they have a major funding program. So you get a stimulus if you are a bakery that sells gluten-free. So they've actually, you think, oh my God, Emily has celiac. How are we going to visit Italy? Turns out it's the best place in the world for gluten-free food
because they incentivize it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
When did you go, Swammey?
Oh, this was a while ago, probably 7 or 8 years.
Okay, so pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID for sure. Eesh, damn, that sucks. Hopefully it's not like hopefully you don't have any problems with that. And I didn't even think about that.
Well,
I can show some cards.
I was going to say,
want to get back to cards?
We're 3 hours in, so I'm down to go if you guys are. I completely am. Rob, I know you jumped in. You were kind of hanging out for a little bit tonight and then jumped in last minute, but really we were just talking about other TCGs outside of Pokemon, how they compare to things like the Crown Zenith release, like how they've really been like, from my experience and the feedback I've seen in the community, like absolutely crushed this set. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious if you've seen like other TCGs that you're familiar with, like if anybody's doing anything similar that's being successful, if anybody's doing anything different that you think maybe like, hey, Pokemon should probably like copy this. That's where we kind of got on the subject of like 1 of 10s and things like that. So I'm curious if you have any opinions on that. And why Metazoo is the best, because basic, that's what he's waiting on seeing.
Yeah, that's a good conversation. I'm definitely bummed that I missed the beginning of it, because I would have loved to hear what you guys kind of had to say. I'm just such a Pokemon fanboy, man. I try to keep like to my lane, so I may dabble here and there, but honestly, like I have enough with Pokemon, so I'm probably not the best.
As you're saying this, and I'm seeing Toy Story cards being put up that I didn't even know existed by Swammey right now.
That's the beautiful part about like seriously, everyone's losing their shit over Lorcana, and meanwhile they don't even realize that this set is out. This is Japanese.
Yeah, it's Weiss. Yeah, it's Pixar.
It's like, oh my god, this is so ridiculous.
It's really cool. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, one thing I was saying earlier is I most recently got some Resident Evil cards in.
Okay.
Some like Wildstorm, and this is kind of a foggy top
loader. Oh, can you show these cards, man?
Well, this was the lot of 10. The other ones are in the mail. They're like the motion cards. So I really just have 10 of these because they were the promo. Apparently 1 per case for the LGS. Let me see if I can get that focused. So that's it. It's a Jim Lee promo. So Jim Lee did this art.
Jim Lee did that?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like his, like probably Leon, I'm assuming, and then like the entire threat, and then all the hands or whatever. It's a super sick.
That's
card.
Major.
But the promo comes with, you guys can't see it. Actually, I wonder if I can change the mirroring.
Dude, Jim Lee did that? That's insane.
There we go. Let's try this. So it actually has it written in here. Focus for me. So it says actually on the back, 90 chromium cards, 9-card monster gallery. So they have all the monsters featured. Features computer graphic scenes from the PlayStation game. So you guys can imagine what those look like. 4 levels of chase cards. So this is interesting, including 1 Jim Lee autograph card. So I do have that on order. Here's the thing. Jim Lee never signed any of those autograph cards. So it is a Jim Lee like SP signature card, but it's not an actual like he never signed any of them from what I understand.
I have to open this now.
What is that?
Can you expand it? Not all the ways, but like I still want to see you three, but I don't know if you can expand like just me.
On the main stage.
Like that, but for me. There you go.
There we go.
Bam, bam. So this is art,
this is nice.
Art of Jim Lee. And this should be his Storm. It should be from like his back when he was with Marvel still, but it was like, what's it called? Wildstorm.
Yeah, that's who makes these Resident Evil cards. Wildstorm Productions.
Yeah,
it's the same company. Right there at the bottom. See?
I've had this for a long time. Yeah, Wildstorm.
Yeah.
And I've never opened it, but I can't believe you showed a Jim Lee card. So look at this box, though. The box is hollow foil. How sick is that?
Put it in plastic.
Put it in plastic.
This is pretty funny. So, Rob, before you jumped on, Swammey opened HRO or Hero. That's what I call them cards. Those NFT DC cards. I don't know if you've ever seen those before. Those boxes I don't think are cheap. At least the old ones weren't.
Ooh,
but he cracked that for the first time ever, and now he's busted open something else.
This is
He's
cool,
got the
dude.
itch.
I've been wanting to open this for a long time.
So what is the theme of this? Just his art?
So Wildstorm, Jim Lee started Wildstorm while he was still with Marvel, and it was a offshoot of Marvel.
So they did a comic for Resident Evil as well under Wildstorm. That's cool.
Yeah, so very unrecognizable characters, but it's Jim Lee, and you could tell Jim Lee from a long. Damn, this is sick. From a long way away. There'll be some characters. There should be some characters that you recognize in here. Like I know he's a big one, but I don't actually remember his name. It's just cool that it's Jim Lee. Is basically
It's
it.
got to be pretty important if they released a box dedicated to just his art. That's actually I never looked up Jim Lee. I was just like, oh, he did some art for Resident Evil. So
Jim Lee, he actually he's like the CEO of DC right now, isn't he? He switched from they gave him like a really high position to get him from Marvel. But Jim Lee was one of the originators of Marvel. For a lot of characters. Just a great artist.
Chief Creative Officer, the CCO of DC Comics. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I knew we weren't gonna know any of these characters, so I'm just trying to I'm just appreciating this. You guys don't have to comment on it or anything, but that's Jim Lee, dude.
No, it's awesome. So are they is this this box is the same cards across any box that people have, or are there certain variations?
It's a complete set, but I don't know. I don't think this came in any other way other than this. It's just art of Jim Lee Wildstorm trading cards. This is the box cover art. I mean, people aren't going to, but you can appreciate it. This is why you need to have artists on the card, I think, because Jim Lee's major. Jim Lee is going to have $1 million pieces in the future. I don't know how long in the future, but there will be original arts of characters that come from Jim Lee, and his one-of-one that he, put down on paper is the first one he ever did of some character is going to sell for over $1 million one day. And we might be dead, but
and so will he.
Artists are major. Artists are important. People, when people started getting into artists and Pokemon, it was kind of like a lot of people kind of thought it was a joke, because it wasn't really a big deal to most people, at least to me, can't even see.
It's what was needed.
Yeah. Appreciation for
the recognition. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it has opened up the doors for me in my collecting.
Yeah, me too. Like Akira Toriyama from Dragon Ball Z.
Dude.
Come on.
So true. I actually feel proud of myself here. I've not mentioned Dragon Ball this entire stream. So
Peak, I'm
trying to keep it under control.
You should swing by. I don't know when I'm gonna do them though. I have like over 100 cards returns that I got from a buddy that submitted through me, and he has a stack of Dragon Ball cards that I have no idea what they are, but apparently they're very good. And I haven't looked at the grades yet. I'm gonna do them tomorrow on the live. But he's got a stack of Dragon Balls, and they're all shiny and cool, and there's fire coming at you. So I don't know. You might like them, man. I would assume
PSA 10s.
I don't know. I haven't.
I'm actually pretty excited. I have a PSA return that's coming. Oops, I'm trying to remember exactly.
I'll show one. Is this a good one? Oh, it is a 10. Hey,
oh, this is DB Heroes, I think, right?
I have no idea.
Let me get you in here. Yeah, that's Dragon Ball Heroes. That is actually a cool card.
I don't know. He's got a bunch of these.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Heroes is always insane because they have so much holo thrown into it. But I know my next PSA return, which should be back hopefully by the end of this week or this upcoming week. I have to recount, but I think it was 24 out of 26 cards submitted PSA 10. And this was actually Pokemon, Zelda, and Dragon Ball. I was like, I just kept going down. I was like, Gym at 10 and Gym at 10, Gym at 10. It was kind of like yours, except I didn't have a 5. Like that randomly popped up. I was cracking up at that. Yeah. Well, guys, we've been going a little over 3 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and call it. I know Basic, you literally went tournament, drove here, jumped in a stream. Obviously a goat as usual. Not as much MetaZoo as I probably should have blessed you with, but I so appreciate you coming on, dude.
It's all good, bro. Always a good time.
Rob, I know you were kind of a little bit late. You were, doing a normal Saturday and not talking cards on the internet. So I hope you had a good time. And I'm glad you jumped in, dude. We've got to definitely get a longer format conversation going soon. Swammey,
that, man.
I mean, dude, the amount of sauce you've been throwing on this has been amazing. So thank you, dude, so much for showing everything off.
It's been fun. I mean, that's the card I want to end on right there. But yeah, it was good talking to all you guys. Yeah, Basic, you gave it up for us a little bit. You let Marvel kind of take some spotlight today. I appreciate it. I was glad to see you on. I didn't know you were so far away on a tournament.
Crushing top 20 in MetaZoo, number 12, right?
No, number 12 today at least, and next weekend in Vegas. Next weekend in Vegas.
When you say sorry, I know we're
right?
ending. Yep. I know we're ending, but number 12, what does that mean? Like,
oh, that was my ranking, number 12
in the nation.
In the tournament today.
Oh, I was like, dang, son.
Today's tournament.
That's still amazing, bro.
Next week should be exciting. That's about 40 players, and then
that's Ivy's tournament, right?
That's Ivy's tournament. She's having 2 of them actually, Friday and then Saturday. And then the reason why I'm not going to Orlando now, because the weekend after Orlando, it's Water Towers, the 100K tournament. This will be in Ohio, and it's 100K. So it's like we gotta, prepare for that.
Make that happen.
Good luck, man.
128 players in that one.
It's awesome.
It's capped.
You got this. Well, chat, guys, thank you so much. Chat was so funny tonight. I was dying. I could barely keep up with what you guys were saying because of the funny stuff the chat was saying. So thank you guys for being so active. I'll drop anybody who's been on the stream. I've got a few links in the description, but they'll be updated tomorrow. But obviously you guys, follow Basic Trainer, Rob, Red or Blue, Swammey, all of the guys here. Jake, he jumped off. I'm sure most of you follow him as well, but Pokenomics, obviously on YouTube. I have all my links as well, Instagram, YouTube, eBay affiliate if you want to help out. Everything's in there. But other than that, guys, I hope everyone enjoys their weekend, Saturday night. Thank you guys for hanging out with some nice, fun card chat. Non-Crown Zenith opening. I know it's super boring compared to everything else, but I think we all can speak and say it's pretty interesting. So other than that, everybody enjoy their night. Thanks, chat. Appreciate it.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, guys.